Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris,
and Lee.
How are you feeling?
I feel good.
Even after yesterday?
it was a long day yesterday, wasn't it?
Well, I meant one particular incident yesterday.
To be fair, both incidents yesterday upset me to equal measures.
It was a sad day.
it was hands on head for both, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
It was.
Verline didn't put his hands on his head.
No, he didn't have to.
Brady did afterwards. Yep, still there.
I counted it.
Twice.
One. Yep, I've still got it. Yeah, it wasn't the most classic of Monaco Grand Prix, was it?
No, it was an interesting last few laps.
Hang on when it became a sprint race, and it still.
Sorry, we're talking about Monaco or Indy?
Monaco.
Oh, right. Because it was a good last few laps when it became a sprint race in Indy as well.
Yeah.
I thought I really enjoyed Indy. It's turned me.
Left.
Yeah, I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I will watch next week's.
I liked.
Next week's Detroit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that another oval or is it a circuit race?
That is a street race.
Is it using the same as the old Formula One Detroit layout?
I have no idea. You're going to make me look that up on the fly, aren't you?
No, not really.
Oh, fair enough.
I found it difficult to enjoy the Indy, if I'm honest. There was lots of swapping of lead and overtaking and that, but
Well,
it
I
was.
keep getting called a hipster, so anything with Indy written on it, I think's ace.
It's two street races.
Oh, okay.
All right.
They've got races on Friday and
But
Saturday and Sunday.
200 laps, and then it's
Indy,
just.
Indy lights.
No, two actual IndyCar races.
Get in there.
June 3rd and June 4th.
What a sport.
Yeah, two races on two separate days, full length ones.
What I did like about the Indy was the last 40 laps until Alonso retired. I gave up then.
So you like 19 of the last 40
19
laps.
of the last 40 laps, and then I enjoyed the actual on-screen graphics. Far superior to anything we've been used to in Formula One, if I'm quite honest.
If you like 20 of the 200 laps, you like 10% of that race.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right, to be quite honest with you.
So an Indy 50 would have been better for you.
No. And
Sorry.
Lee has broken the world. And
That's wreck the mic.
Psych.
Oh, let's get ready to grumble. Come on.
I don't know if it was just because I was tired, but I didn't enjoy the Indy race. It took me a long time to realise that no one's braking.
You had been dealing with small children that afternoon.
I had, between Monaco and Indy.
And I don't mean me and Dan.
But I think oval racing it's a different discipline to the circuit racing that we used to. So we don't know what to look out for until the last few laps where the guy in the lead might win.
Yeah, it took 100 laps before I started getting my head around what was actually going on.
It's a lot more tactical, because we were talking before we started recording about if someone can go for a pass but they don't, why? What are they doing? Does it mean they're not very good? It's like no, because the amount of fuel that they'll save while they're getting a tow.
Big shout out to Virtual Statman actually for that, because I read quite a lot of his tweets through that race, and that was spoon feeding me vital information.
Yeah, I've got to admit I was doing the same as well between him and Adrian from IndyCar UK.
I felt like
thanks for all the insight again as well, Adrian, for that. If you're listening, it was great to have you on last week. But I kind of feel with Indy that I've said this to you guys already pre-podcasting. That it's like when somebody tells you to listen to this new band, like they're your like this person's favorite band. You'll love them. It's right down your street. Seriously, check them out. They're amazing. And check them out. You just feel a bit like. Meh.
Is that why you never liked the Hives, because they called the album your new favourite band, so
No,
you
I
instantly didn't?
No, I quite liked the Hives. Actually, they were all right.
Were they your new favourite band?
I like
were.
their song.
The Hives.
Yeah.
They had a couple of songs, but they didn't go too far out of that, did they?
I was surprised, like my dad as well. Me and my dad sat there for 3 hours, and we both thought the same thing before it started. Like, are we going to make 3 hours of IndyCar? And
It flew by.
absolutely, I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that much more than any Formula E race I've ever seen, and I enjoyed it as much as I enjoy watching MotoGP,
Fair enough.
which is like a step under Formula One.
Yeah, you watch that for free with my BT Sport.
Well, I don't
login
know.
as well.
Yeah.
Formula One was,
I'm just going around trying to find sports on BT that I'm interested in to make the most of your subscription.
to be honest, we are a Formula One podcast.
Can I advise? Avoid the baseball.
It came on yesterday after the Indy, didn't it?
Yeah, did it?
That's-
I
yeah.
was I was out.
That's fucking shit.
Yes, we are a Formula One podcast, and therefore we should be talking about Formula One things. However,
since it was the jewel in the crown of the Formula One.
yeah, but
calendar.
it wasn't very exciting, was it?
It was a bit of a sort of Poundland jewel in a rusty crown.
Do you know what?
Fucking right in the rusty.
I was waiting for that.
Do you know what? It was Monaco. It was the glitz and the glamour and the boats and the models and the people hanging out of the balconies. But there was no racing happening
And
at all
the
whatsoever.
sea view that was painted on the wall.
It's an amazing event, Monaco.
It's not.
I think it's a pretty shit race.
Yeah.
So I'm now proposing, as a fan of Formula One, that Monaco stays on the calendar, but is a non-championship event and is replaced with a race which is actually a race. Cars haven't been able to overtake at Monaco since the 80s, when they first became really wide.
Yeah.
And that was only the turbo cars overtaking the non-turbo cars, because the non-turbo cars had a better one-lap pace and the turbo cars had a better race pace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't enjoy the race. It's really strange because every year when the Monaco Grand Prix rolls around, I get excited for it, and I get excited watching qualifying, and I get excited watching testing, and then the race comes around and I go,
But
All right, okay.
It's such a test of driver
Yeah.
skill.
I haven't enjoyed a Monaco Grand Prix since 2009, and guess why I enjoyed
Oh,
that?
because Jensen
Yeah.
won, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah,
But
But he started on pole and finished first, didn't he?
Fucking thoroughly boring race.
The thing
apart
is,
from
yeah.
the fact that made me happy.
But he's
look-
like the Hives, he hasn't changed his tune.
But look at like recent Monaco Grand Prix. The only excitement has been when a team or a driver has made an error,
Yeah.
and that shouldn't be the way that we're enjoying in parentheses races.
But on the other hand, it is a test of driver skill. Yeah, you don't get to overtake, but you get wiped out if you make a single mistake.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a different test of skill to, say, what we'll see in Canada.
Yeah, I'm
It
with
should
Dan
still be
here.
on
Like,
there.
I'm with Dan and I'm with you. I think it's a shit race and I think it's boring to watch it. But
It's
Dan's
it's
right.
amazing to
Yeah.
watch these slow-mos of Raikkonen going
Yeah.
around half an inch from the barriers.
Or like JB clipping the barriers at
Yeah.
one point, but still
Yeah.
carrying on. So just gently nudging them out of the way.
do you know what the problem was this time? Was the tyres were too good. I know we joke about Pirelli getting bashed, but they might still use those in Canada. They came off the coast.
Well, I think it proved it in qualifying, because I haven't seen that much running constantly through 3 qualifying sessions.
no.
Because
They knew they wouldn't need the tyres on Sunday.
yeah, cars were coming in, splash of fuel, straight back out.
Yeah.
And it was just lap after lap after lap, and I haven't actually seen the numbers for the amount of laps that everyone did in every stint. But I'm willing to put money on it that is the most qualifying laps that have been done
Probably.
since this qualifying format
And
was
testing
introduced.
as well. Like the amount of laps that people were getting in. They were just constantly on the circuit during the practice sessions. I
Yeah.
know they have to hand tyres back anyway. But
Yeah.
The
Jensen used one set of tyres for FP1 and FP2.
yeah.
Same set of tyres.
Yeah, because he had the extra set of the softs.
Yeah.
So
The Ultra Softs would have done 90 laps, apparently.
yes, that is the stat that I read,
Yep.
and the race is only 77.
Well, here's a question then, right? It's one of the shorter races, isn't it?
Yes.
Monaco.
Shortest lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's what
It's the shortest race as well.
shortest race.
Yeah. Well, isn't Monza the shortest race time-wise?
Shortest race time wise, but shortest race distance wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even short time wise, Monaco's right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I propose that the shorter races should be made longer. That we shouldn't be. It's not. We might find it more interesting because that race started to get interesting before the end of the race, and I think part of that's tyres. I think more than anything, tyres getting worn out, and I think the tyres were too good for the length of the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with
yeah,
that.
Pirelli have done their job too well.
Yeah,
But no, I don't
They've
think
done what
that
they've
the
been
problem
asked
is
of them.
tyres. A few years back, we had races where the only overtakes were in the pit stops, and we said it was rubbish. We wanted to see
Yeah.
on-track overtaking. If you make the tyres so they degrade quicker at Monaco, we'll get races where the only overtaking's in the pit stop
Yeah.
at Monaco.
Like it was.
The circuit isn't one that you can actually race on.
Well, and I think more so this year as well, because we've always gone to Monaco and it's always been difficult to overtake, but people have overtaken. I don't think there was a clean move, was there?
Yeah,
in
there
that
was
race?
one.
Was there?
Well, no, it wasn't clean. It was Perez on Stroll.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. there was no clean move, and it was more luck than judgment. That didn't end up in a car crash as well.
Yeah.
I think it's
Also,
how
Stroll, shit.
Wank.
Absolute, to the point where I know we're going to go through teams and drivers,
Yeah.
but he deserves his own little section here
He does.
to talk about how what a waste of a car that man is.
And I'll tell you why. Because you weren't in the blog room yesterday, and the three of us, Paul, Dan, and myself, were. And when he was on the radio complaining that his brakes were too cold and he didn't know how to keep temperature in them, I explained how you keep temperatures in your
Yeah.
brakes before Martin Brundle then explained
Yeah.
how you keep temperatures in the brakes. If he doesn't know that as a driver, he shouldn't be driving. In fact, he couldn't even tell the difference between overheating brakes, which would be brake fade, and brakes that are too cool, which just wouldn't be biting hard enough.
You know
because he actually retired with overheated brakes.
Yeah,
because
that's
he
what I was
didn't-
gonna say.
Because he didn't know them. Oh, it makes a change. Somebody's jumped in on you. But yeah,
No, I wasn't saying because you jumped in. I was agreeing with
yeah.
you.
Because then he retires because his brakes are
Practice up
overheated.
his ass.
So he didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
but you can't tell the difference between brake fade on hot brakes and brakes just not working because they're not up to temperature.
Well, you know that screen that they have on the steering wheel, which has got all the
If you press the
various
triangle
readouts
button
on.
a few times.
Yeah, you know that they can
I don't
actually
think
get
that-
readouts on the screen.
I don't think the car with the green tyres is on the actual Formula One steering wheel. But
I hope it is.
that'd be fucking ace, wouldn't it?
Well, he spent that much time in his own personal simulator at Grove because Daddy paid to have one built that the other drivers weren't allowed to use.
Yeah, dear
Because
Mr. Stroll, you are wasting your money.
Yeah,
Please
because
send
it
your
was-
son somewhere else and put a driver in that car.
They built a full simulator in the Grove factory, set it up as an F3 car just for Lance to use. Nobody else was allowed to go near it.
To be fair as well, although, I mean, Stroll was where he would be of a Grand Prix weekend, but Massa was fucking shocking as well. So.
He got points.
Did he get points in it?
Yeah,
He
he ended
ninth.
up ninth, yeah.
Massa was
Oh,
all right.
fuck, sorry, I thought he was out of the points.
No, Massa,
No, Massa finished ninth.
Massa
Do
had
you
a terrible weekend, but a good race.
Well done, Felipe. Then.
Do you know what? We started our team by team review. We'll just carry on with Williams, the rest of Williams' performance.
Yeah,
Well, let's start with Williams then.
Yeah.
Stroll, we've already spoken about, and it is my opinion that they should probably Grosjean him, which is what Dan said yesterday.
Yeah, I think they should keep until the end of the year. They don't have another driver lined up.
Yeah.
But the end of the
Yesterday, they
year,
got Paul di Resta as a reserve driver. He'd do a better job than Lance Stroll.
Well, I think that they still technically own Alex Lynn, don't they?
Don't know.
Alex Lynn would have been the better option than Stroll, but he doesn't come with all of the cash.
but no, keep him till the end of the year, and then have him down into F2 for a year
Yeah.
or year or two while he gets up to speed with those cars, and then bring him back to Formula One in Williams. Keep his contract there
Yeah, keep us
Keep the
juicy
money.
contract.
because I think he deserves to be in Formula One.
Yeah, the only problem with that is if he's only got a year contract with Williams and Williams turn around and say, we think you should go down to F2, he's going to say, that's really weird because Sauber think I should join them.
And they all look good in Hilfiger suits.
Yeah.
I think it's a 2-year contract he's got.
I'm not, I
if
don't
remember
know.
Yeah,
right.
it is.
Is it?
Yeah. 2 or 3 even, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I do think he deserves to be in Formula One. I
You
I
can't
don't
say
think
that
he's going to
yet.
need to deserve. I don't think he's going to.
Yeah.
He's not shown he deserves to be in Formula One next
Now,
year.
No.
No, I mean, I've said this before. He's obviously got some talent in there because he has won.
Yeah, he's won the same things that Max Verstappen's won.
Yeah.
Unless all the really good drivers that have won that ended up in Formula One or like LMP1 and stuff like that, and he was just really lucky to hit that Julian Palmer year, where the Stoffels had gone.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So maybe there was a brain
Yeah,
drain.
Tesco's has been sold out of them for the last couple of weeks because I've been trying to get a box for Mike McPherson because he wants some sending over, but they've been out of stock for the last fortnight.
Yeah, you've got to eat them before the sell-by date though, 'cause they go off really quick.
But yeah, that's Williams is again a weekend of polar opposites. Massa terrible practice sessions, not great in qualifying, and then
he
finished.
didn't have a great race really. It's just that a few people crashed in front of him.
Well,
and
he was
moved him up into the points.
Yeah.
He was.
It was 13 finishes. It was, there was more of a chance of getting points if you finished than if you don't.
He got Stoffel's points.
Yeah. Essentially, he did. Yeah, he got Stoffel's points.
Shame.
It was, but that's Williams for you. Another weekend of polar opposites where one driver's doing all right, doing pretty good, and the other one just really isn't. And it's always the same.
They
way
always
round.
struggle in Monaco,
Yeah.
though, don't they? Because they don't have high downforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since they got the Mercedes deal, well, ever since they've been Martini sponsored, and there's been that Mercedes resurgence, they've lent heavily on having Mercedes engines, haven't they?
Yes.
And low downforce to win at the circuits where the engine can do the job.
Yeah, and isn't it funny how you come to I know we'll get onto them later. You come to a circuit where power isn't really an issue, and that actual Mercedes works team looks like a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still wonder just how good that car is.
We don't actually know. We're at Monaco. We're 6 races in, and we don't know. But we'll get to Mercedes.
I don't think
in a
we will
bit.
know. I don't think we'll know all year because I don't think there's a good enough barometer in the car.
Possibly.
Yeah, good call. Right, the teams that didn't make it through to the end. Got to start with McLaren.
Yep.
Well, talking of drivers who don't deserve to be in a car,
Stoffel.
Now,
they should sack that new guy that they got in. 'cause
I don't think you'll see him in the next race. Moving swiftly on, Selva.
But I mean, McLaren Andretti had this rookie racing for him. I think he might do all right for him. They should go to IndyCar and look to bring him over.
yeah.
He doesn't get these mad moments where he tries to put the car down the inside of somebody's airbox and then pitch him sideways into a nicely decorated painting of the sea where you can't see the sea.
Yeah, Pascal Wehrlein, of course, Sauber driver, missed the first couple of races with vertebrae injuries.
If you're going to take out anyone, take out one of the Salvas.
But I mean, I think I mentioned on Saturday that Portier is not really a place where you overtake this corner just before the tunnel.
Remember the year that Eddie Irvine wiped 3 cars out in one move there?
Yeah. And somebody managed it. I think it was Verstappen on Massa a couple of years ago. Managed to pass at Portier, and at the time it was like, wow, no one ever overtakes there. That was brave.
Yeah.
And he made it stick. I think it was a banging of wheels, but everybody carried on, and it was all sort of, that's fine, that's racing.
I mean, Portier's about 2.1 cars wide, so there's going to be a banging of wheels.
Yeah, and Jenson Button decided to throw his McLaren down the inside of Pascal Wehrlein, and it
was
didn't work.
a 50-50 move born out of frustration.
Yeah, from the corner camera, it really looked like Jenson had been a bit of an idiot.
But
But from the
he'd been stuck
onboard,
behind Verline all race.
yeah, but from the onboard footage, Jenson was actually quite far up alongside Wehrlein when Wehrlein started turning in. Jenson admitted he tried to back out of it, but didn't have the room all the time to do so.
Yeah.
So it
he
ended up-
said that he'd noticed that Verline hadn't seen him, which is why he backed out.
Yeah.
And I think if you're attacking in a corner where people don't try to overtake,
Yeah.
it's reasonable for
To assume.
the driver being overtaken to be surprised. being
definitely.
overtaken there.
But the only thing I'd say about that is Verline did come out of the
Yeah.
last corner badly.
Very slowly, yeah.
Very slowly. So he essentially he had the door open for a move to be thrown, and
Maybe a more experienced driver would have
that's
double checked to see that no one had
As
taken
I said
advantage.
before you turned up tonight, I think if it had have been like Button and Hulkenberg, maybe they wouldn't have both gone out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's Verline's fault. I'm just saying that maybe Jensen put a bit too much faith in the driver he
Verline,
was trying to
yeah.
overtake.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was. He's got a 3-place grid penalty for his next race, though, hasn't he?
Don't think he's going to serve.
It's got to be taken this season. Will Buxton seems to think he'll take it at the Triathlon World Championships.
I think he'll take it at Azerbaijan. Because I think he might be back in the car. in
He was
Azerbaijan.
dropping subtle hints about Silverstone would be nice as well.
Oh no, he didn't drop hints. He said, "I won't be driving. I will be there with the team as an ambassador." That's not a hint. That's diffusing hints.
I don't know.
Unless he was looking at the camera winking like, I blink, won't
Yeah.
be driving.
No, we
Well, no,
won't.
I did see one interview with him where he said Silverstone would be nice, but I can't see myself doing that, and he did wink.
Yeah.
Will we see Jensen before the end of the season again? I've just got this sneaking suspicion that we might. I don't think we'll see him back next year, though.
I don't know.
Or was he protesting too much?
I think
I
the
don't
thing
know.
is,
I don't know.
I think Jensen's qualifying position proved that he's still got the talent to be in Formula One.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, McLaren are finding themselves in a huge pickle at the moment, and if Alonso does decide to walk away at the end of the year, they don't really have the they don't have the pull that McLaren used to have with come and drive. For
I'd
us.
also point out that
Zach Brown said this weekend that yes, Jensen is under contract and we can call him up to drive next year if we are a driver short, but we wouldn't make him do something that he doesn't want to.
yeah, that could be maybe that could even be the like a PR line where they've already agreed. Look, if this doesn't happen or we want to put somebody else in, this is what we'll say PR wise.
It could be a negotiating tactic with one of their potential next year's drivers where
Yeah.
they're saying, yeah, we're not actually desperate for you because we've got Button if he wants it.
I would say as well,
Yeah.
I think that even though Verline was like out-qualified Button, it doesn't look good for Verline because he should have been further down the road than a tenth and a half. When you've got Button saying, I don't know when to brake for the corners because you can brake so late in these cars, I don't know where I should be braking. And yet he's only a tenth behind his teammate. Joey, I think if Button would have been in that car this year instead of Alonso, he would be given Stoffel the same treatment
Where was
Alonso.
Alonso?
When you
doing
said
it.
when you said Verline,
You said
before,
Verline,
Oh,
which-
sorry,
yeah,
sorry,
Stoffel.
Stoffel, sorry.
Yeah, he's not looking good against his teammates.
And then he had the chance to score points, and he fucked it.
And be McLaren's debut point scorer for the second consecutive season
Yeah.
in his first season.
Yeah.
Yeah, he.
Have I just broken time again?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Stoffel broke time.
right.
No, he broke his McLaren. He
Repeatedly.
It seems to be quite easy to do that, though.
two on cold brakes after that safety car.
Yeah.
First sort of racing corner after the safety car. First heavy braking zone.
Yeah.
Went in under heavy braking, didn't have it.
No.
Hit the soft stuff, and he was told to switch his car off, which I was kind of surprised about.
Yeah.
And maybe McLaren were just like, let's just save this then for the rest of the.
Well, I think that's it. It's obvious, even if they'd have brought him in, he was last.
Yeah.
You couldn't overtake, save the engine. I believe your main man at Honda turned around over the weekend and said the MGU-H is good for 2 races.
which is not.
Not suitable
not
for
when
a
you-
series where the engine has where you get 4 engines a year.
because I'm not very good at maths. How many MGU-Hs are they allowed?
4.
How many races are there?
20.
Right, that doesn't work, does it?
No.
No.
No, that means you
It should
have,
be good for 5 races.
Yeah.
It should be good for more than 5
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd have 4 go in one weekend towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to labour the point about Honda are an absolute sack of shit and they couldn't make an engine if their lives depended on it.
Also, we're not a McLaren podcast.
we're not a McLaren podcast.
Even though it feels like it some weeks.
Yeah.
It is a coincidence that if you just say it, it's a mugh.
Positive note, though, both cars got into Q3. They're very good at low grip.
Yeah, that was impressive.
They're very good under low grip, the McLarens.
Oh, the car's grand.
Yeah.
We found this out this weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Chassis grand.
Yeah, it's the power unit.
Yeah.
We've known it for a while, but we didn't know how good.
We've just had it confirmed
Yeah,
this
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. So Canada is a little bit of both, little bit of power, a little bit of chassis. Be interesting to see how they get on in a couple of weeks' time.
But before we move on as well, talk about the McLaren chassis. It shows how good it is when you've got a button. You've got a button-like driver that
Like Button.
yeah, that's never been the best qualifier, compared to his teammates in for years since the Groove tyres. I think was the last time he was a really good qualifier. I know he had poles in Brawn, but the Brawn was a fucking rocket ship, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you've got a man that jumps into the car after not driving it and he can make the top 10 in that car, and we always say Jensen needs a good, stable car underneath him to perform at his best, it shows how good and easy to set up and how easy to work with it is.
Yeah. It was at a disadvantage this week as well because he had to give Stoffel his floor.
He was a disadvantage this weekend because he hadn't driven the car.
Yeah. But yeah, stop. They ended up swapping
Yeah.
floors.
If he had
for
no floor
Sunday.
in it, then
Oh,
couldn't
he-
you have
he-
Fred Flintstone it to the end.
Yeah.
Aye, possibly. But yeah, he was using the old design floor because they only had 2 new floors and Stoffel broke his.
That worked well for them.
And Jensen had to use the old spec one because Stoffel was higher up on the grid.
They should,
Yeah.
they should give Stoffel more parts. Works really
Yeah.
well.
Although Eric Boulier did say that if they swapped out both floors, both cars would have been at the back of the grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
makes
to
sense.
be fair, it was a no-brainer as well. Jensen's in for one race.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stoffel was clearly the lead driver in this situation because he's in the team all year. It's even my
Well, no, not only that, he's qualified ahead.
Also, we
Yeah.
haven't mentioned the Fernando Alonso radio message.
No, we haven't.
that was lovely.
That
wasn't
was
it?
brilliant. That was brilliant. Alonso comes on the radio, says
Oh.
hi to Jensen, look after my car.
Best of luck. Look
Yeah.
after the car.
Yeah.
I'm going to pee in your seat.
I tell you what, I did find. Did you see the interview with Jensen about how he wouldn't want to do IndyCar? And he was saying, like he said, I'm brave, but I'm not brave enough to do IndyCar.
Yeah.
And when he said, I don't think I'd be allowed to do it anyway because my family wouldn't let me, given the fact that it's IndyCar has claimed 2 of my best friends.
Yeah.
But and after seeing that, when right at the end of that message with Alonso, where the Jensen turned around and said, "Have a good race, but just stay safe."
Yeah.
I thought it was really touching.
It was nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah. Because they are good friends, Fernando and Jensen. They always have been throughout their careers in Formula One.
Yeah.
And it's just fitting that former teammates and now
I think
Jensen
it's called
took
Dunkirk Spirit, isn't it?
something like that. Something like that.
Grit
yeah.
your teeth, chaps. We'll get through this somehow. Let's have a rousing sing-song.
To the podium.
To the podium? No, we're going to talk about Marcus Ericsson.
He, for me, aside from Lance Stroll, wins Idiot of the Weekend award for crashing under the safety car.
Yeah.
At least
I
he-
had, I
at
had
least he-
just joked seconds before that Stroll was about to crash under the safety car. Because Stroll was on the radio talking about how he couldn't get heat into the brakes or the tyres. What did he do? He didn't know what to do. And then Ericsson crashed.
Then Ericsson
I-
shoves it in the barrier.
Did I pick Ericsson or Stroll as my villain of the piece?
Stroll, I think.
I think it was Stroll. I think you were torn last week because if I remember right, I never listened to these after we'd recorded them.
No.
It was going to be hard to decide.
Yeah. I think they both proved my point this weekend.
Yeah, I think with our top 3s, I think Lee is the only one who actually put Danny Rick in the top 3.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, well, I mean,
The Saubers were disappointing all weekend, weren't they? I was after Spain, hoping to see them moving forwards.
Yeah. You know, when we were talking the other week about yous were talking, I think I flat out said bullshit, didn't I? That maybe the Sauber's a good car. I think we can categorically say the Sauber is not a good car and they had a one-off good race.
they had good strategy.
Not a good car at high downforce circuits.
No.
with that aero
Absolutely
package that they
not.
were concentrating on rather than the engine.
Yeah.
Which is why they went for last year's engines.
Yeah.
I'd be asking for your money back on that one, Manisha.
There's not a lot you can say about Sauber's performance because they were just pootling round at the back, and we do get comments saying, why the hatred for Scandinavian drivers? It's not hatred; it's just calling them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus Ericsson, you are being called out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hatred can easily be misconstrued with honesty.
And also, Verline's unsafe release as well. Lee, you mentioned this before. You got a 5-second penalty. Well, that wasn't going to be no good to anyone, was it,
No.
really?
With the current rules, you can either serve your 5 seconds at the start of your next pit stop,
Yeah.
or have it added to your time.
Yeah, but what happened was
and
it...
he'd taken his 1 pit stop.
Yeah, but what happened was it ended up impeding Jensen Button for the whole race to the point where he tried to overtake and put both of them out of the race. Whereas what should have happened is Verline should have been given. Well, I say should have been given. They need to look at how that works.
I think the drive-through would have been a more appropriate penalty because it would have freed up Jensen Button.
Yeah.
If there's another pit stop to come, fine. Take a 5-second or 10-second maybe penalty at that pit stop.
Yeah.
But if they don't make another pit stop, they have to do drive-through.
But here's a thing then, right? If you're, let's say, like, that sub was never going to score points this weekend, yeah?
Correct.
So if you're only going to get a 5-second penalty for releasing a car dangerously into the pit lane,
Or a forced pit stop.
what does it fucking matter? If
Exactly.
you're not going to score points anyway,
Yeah.
then
But-
just fucking send them out any way you want.
But imagine that had been for 10th and 11th.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't going to be. So that's what I mean.
It could have ended
Yeah.
up like that with other retirements.
The only reason that penalty should have been served was two reasons. Was because it was dangerous to release him like that, and it impeded another driver. The penalty only fixed one of those things because it gave him a time penalty, which affected the team. You could say for letting somebody out. It didn't fit impeding another driver.
Yeah, because it had compromised somebody else's race.
Yeah.
But in the end, he doesn't actually lose anything.
Yeah. Well, given the fact, see, the problem was he was on the same strategy as Jensen. Given what else went on, with cars and stuff dropping out, there's nothing to say that Button wouldn't have been on, given the fact he was on a contra strategy to everybody else.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say that he wouldn't have been sniffing around that point place after all the cars had dropped out if he hadn't have been held up by
Pascal.
Fairline. Yeah, which wouldn't matter on a normal circuit because he would have overtaken Pascal on a normal circuit.
Yeah, I think,
Or at least have had the opportunity
Yes.
to. Yeah.
it's hard to judge what penalty should be, but I think a 5-second penalty at Monaco isn't a good idea, and it should be a drive-through or it should be a stop-go.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, even if you impede a driver for only 2 or 3 laps at somewhere like Canada, for example, it takes them a couple of laps to utilise that long DRS section in Canada to get past. They've still lost 2 or 3 laps behind you because your team released you unsafely.
Yeah.
So the penalty should be harsher for unsafe releases.
Yeah,
but
I think
especially if you've only made your only pit stop of the race.
Yeah, I think it should be an automatic drive-through for an unsafe release.
I just realised something as well. Realistically, I should have realised this when we were talking about the Monaco, in being on the calendar before.
Yeah.
But is it any? Maybe it's. We keep saying Formula One might have outgrown the circuit. Is there anything to the fact that we've just had one of the worst Monaco Grand Prix I can remember, and it's also the fastest? Is this where sometimes you talk about whether cars are too fast for a circuit?
Well, Checo Perez is now the lap record holder.
Is this why? Is that these new cars, are they too fast for Monaco?
I don't think that's it because it's been years since Monaco's been exciting for anything other than
than
the
good
carnage.
point. Yeah, and we've had slower, smaller cars, and it's still been shit. So,
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. It was just something that came into my head.
We've got Renault written down next.
Reasonable race. Really, it's
Palmer kept going.
Yeah.
And he nearly made points, didn't he?
Yeah, he finished up 11th.
Yeah.
He wasn't his usual full of excuses crappy self this week.
Well, no, Renault were there. Well, Renault had an awful weekend, all in all. They were right near the back, mingling with the Saubers. It's kind of like them and McLaren had swapped places. Like, Renault had been pushing forward early season and looking like they were on the cusp of scoring points. And then they get to Monaco and they're just nowhere to be seen. And this is another point that Lee and I were talking about pre-podcast, is that teams are building cars for the whole season.
When I was stuck behind a horse tram and some bikes that were impeding our progress.
Yeah, absolutely. But
see, they got a 5-second penalty by the time they got across the prom.
Yeah.
But it didn't help
It
you at all.
didn't make much difference because I still ended up being here late. So
It ruined your strategy.
it did.
Then he drove through a horse.
Right through horse penalty. But
it's Douglas Prom. There's lots of horse penalties dotted about every 100 metres.
Drive through horse penalty sounds like the lines of a country song.
it does. But yeah, no, the Renaults were awful all
By J.R.
weekend.
Hildebrand.
You
I'll
gotta
let you.
get this out
I
in
will
a
let you
second.
finish one day.
I wonder if Renault have got one of the teams who, much like Mercedes, have built a car for the rest of the season, but then they're going to be terrible at these smaller circuits like Monaco, maybe even Azerbaijan's not a slow circuit, but I wonder if they'll struggle at these sort of tighter,
Maybe. I mean,
smaller circuits.
it's a strange one because it's not like Renault are doing well because of their engine. So
No, but I mean they were doing
Yeah,
well.
they were
They were
doing
sort of
okay.
climbing up a little bit, and then they've fallen back. So Julian Palmer by default is his favourite position. He almost scored points because everybody else around him was retiring. 11th place. Has raced at Monaco a number of times before. Of course, did better than last year.
Won in GP2.
Yeah. did better than last year when he smashed it into the barriers. So we can't be too hard on him this weekend or this week.
I think he did well considering his qualifying position.
Yeah, he did all right. Yeah,
To be honest, being a little bit anonymous is an improvement for Palmer.
it is. And Hulkenberg was just right at the back until he became the first retirement with that blowing engine.
I still stand by the fact that Palmer's got 99 problems and most of them aren't his own.
Everything is his fault. Is somebody else's fault.
Yeah, no, but I genuinely mean that though. As far as even
Lee
though it's
believes
wrapped
him.
up in a joke. No, but like when you watch the races, it's 90% of it has been Carl or another driver. So yeah,
But his lap times are never
Oh,
up there with Hulkenberg.
I can't wait for the
no,
album.
but every weekend he's had has been impeded in some way.
I can't wait for the album.
through testing.
JZP. I don't know, it's hard to say. I mean, the official explanation for Hulk was the gearbox, not the engine, but that looked like an engine to me.
It looked engine,
yeah.
but again, not being a technical expert, I can't. I won't talk about snail or trumpets. But the
You're just glad that people have agreed with you, aren't you?
there are people agreeing with me about the snail trumpets.
Come on, there's people out there that agree with Lee sometimes as well.
Well, yeah, but there's
There's
reasons for
some
that.
intelligent people out there, Paul. I can't help it if it's a small minority of our audience.
But yeah, Renault, terrible weekend. One to forget for them.
Small
On to Canada.
minority. Who's the real idiot here?
like a large minority.
Yes.
Force India.
How many pit stops did Perez have? Like 3?
About 97.
Yeah, if he hadn't had all of those pit stops, he probably would have been quite a high up point scorer.
How many nose cones did he have?
3 nose cones for the whole of the race.
Yeah.
Started on one, broke it.
Didn't he end up
Broke a
using?
second one when he took Kvyat out.
Didn't he end up using one of Esteban Ocon's spare nose cones?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He just decided that it was an extra brake.
I think he crashed, didn't he, during the when the team was talking to him at one point because he came over the radio quite angry with them saying,
Yeah, well, he
he
was-
want me to crash.
No, he said what was he said what was the point basically, didn't he? He said stop me, don't stop. You stopped me for safety, and now I'm here. So what's the point?
I don't think he actually knew how broken the first nose cone was.
Yeah.
Because it broke on one of the nostrils, and the left half was dragging on the floor.
Yeah.
And he
And
couldn't
if
see.
that went under the wheels, then
He couldn't see the shower of sparks that it was creating running behind him. And they had to bring him in, otherwise he would have been black flagged for it.
Yeah.
I really ought to sat him down and told him afterwards and showed him, and he admitted that they were right.
Yeah, I
but
think it's frustration, isn't it?
but then making a bit of a daft move up the inside of Kvyat at Raskas.
Yeah.
Which, as you said, Chris, it's a different profile on that corner this year because the restaurant's
There
had an
is.
extension, so the barriers have moved and it's a completely different line through there.
Well, no, I think the corner's the same. It's just that after you go past the corner, there's been an extension built from there to the pits, so they're looking for the end of the restaurant. I
so
don't know.
all your markers have changed.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's. I think it was. It might be this year's the first year, but it was being built last year. I think the extension for the Raskas. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
kind of wiped himself out, wiped Kvyat out. Just bad race.
Yeah, it was a bad race, but he still finished the race. So
Last.
yeah.
Yeah. Ocon I was expecting more from. I had him down for a chance of a podium last week when we made the predictions. That was silly.
He's new to Monaco.
In hindsight, that was silly.
No, he's new to Monaco. He did have a bit of a shunt, didn't he, in free practice 2 or 3?
I can't remember.
But they got the car rescued, didn't they? And for somebody whose first races at Monaco, didn't do too badly.
No.
It's a shame for Force India because they've had some really, really strong results lately, but both cars outside the points. Again, it's Monaco.
It is different rules apply.
Said it before. It must be
It's like
such
the
a
Grand
dark
National,
cloud.
isn't it? You know what I mean? Like you can never tell who's going to win the Grand National.
Yeah.
Even people who bet on horses don't bet on the National because it's just so unpredictable.
We've
So-
said it before. It must be such a dark cloud over that team. You know, because it's you talk about a team that has an uncertain future.
One of the owners is essentially under house arrest.
Yeah.
The other one is in trouble with
Everybody.
legal trouble and possible I'm saying possible because we don't know for certain tax problems.
Yeah.
Then you've got to look at them shifting the team on to somebody else. But who do they sell it to? Rumours are that Bernie Ecclestone might be interested, but
And hopefully someone else is interested.
hopefully someone else.
Hopefully
is interested.
anybody else is
Yeah.
interested, Dan. Anybody else.
Yeah, there's been no news coming out about that in the last week.
Can you imagine? I genuinely believe, given how the sport has been de-Bernied and what some of the things Chase Carey said about Leo, that every corner he walks around, he seems to find more frustration.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that if Bernie Ecclestone bought a team, he would merely be buying it to cause trouble.
Probably.
Right, I've got 25 quid in my wallet. Can anyone lend me 80 million less 25
To
quid?
be fair, most of the time it's it's
Well,
it's not
VJ
the
Malia wants
purchase, is
200.
it?
He
It's
wants
the debts.
250 million.
most
All
of-
right.
I believe most of the time we can buy the team for £1. It's all the debts that are going to be the issue.
Yeah.
So
the
unless
thing,
we
the
can-
team isn't in debt. It's just that the owners can't plough any more money into it. So the team is surviving by its own existence.
Yeah, the team is self-sufficient, but the owners want this 250 million. The general consensus on the valuation is 150 million.
Yeah.
And that appears to be the sticking point. And unfortunately, Bernie has been the only one to say, or is rumoured to have said, "I'll pay what you want." Wahahaha.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just a way of pushing the price up.
Maybe.
Because if someone will pay 250 million for the team, then the team's worth 250 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
And if someone says that they'll pay 250 million,
And that's the same with everyone. And everything.
then they can turn down any offers that are under 250 million, saying, well, we've got this other offer on the table.
Yeah. But please
Bernie.
please don't sell to Bernie, for God's sake.
No.
One team that isn't up for sale is Toro Rosso. Nice save.
Well, we don't think that they are. They're
Not at the minute because Berger and Alessi were rumoured to be buying it, but they went to the pub instead.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Shampoo spokesman John Alessi.
Indeed. I'm John Lacey. No, you're not.
He may have his face, but not his voice.
Again, a slightly mixed weekend for Toro Rosso. They were doing quite well in their practice and quali sessions. I think they got both cars inside the top 10 during quali. At least one of them anyway. I think
Kvyat was 11th.
Kvyat was 11th. And again, Carlos Sainz just finished 6th.
Finished sixth,
He did his-
highest points of the season for them.
Yeah, he just did his thing where he just poodles round and does his thing.
It's just back to the he's getting on with it.
Yeah. Uneventful for Carlos Sainz. Don't think he had any troubles. Did he? Had Hamilton on his gearbox for quite a few laps, but again, Monaco just move ever so slightly to your left.
Yeah.
Oh, look, no one can get
It's
by.
all fixed. Yeah.
It's like Han Solo's I know some moves.
Yeah.
Drift slightly left.
Yeah.
I feel like Kvyat's performance sort of went under the radar, but I feel it was quite poor. You know.
He was doing okay
He-
until he
yeah, he
crashed
was-
out.
He was
Well,
doing okay. I
crashed
think
out.
in qualifying he had a bit of bad luck with traffic, did he, if I remember right?
Yeah, I think that was the case.
Time-wise, he was pretty close to Sainz. It's just that the way things fall sometimes.
He was
I
pushed out by the McLarens.
I still think Sainz needs to go somewhere else to save his seat next year.
There was a story
Otherwise there might be a
there was a
gas
story
thing.
came out last week that Williams had inquired about him before Massa came back.
Yeah.
And
so had Renault.
yeah, and Red Bull just completely
Well,
shut that down.
This is what we were talking about, wasn't it? Earlier in the year, when who is it? Franz Tost? Is
Yeah,
it?
French toast.
French Toast. He said why would Red Bull let
Sainz.
Sainz go, because you're giving a really good driver to a competitor.
Yeah.
When you've got and Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen are so hotly sought after by other teams, it's good to have a world-class driver sat there that you can plug in. It's doing nothing for his career,
No.
but
no.
I do not believe that Red Bull will allow him to go, because especially where
I've got-
where Red Bull are now, because if he goes to Renault or he goes to Williams, all he can do is take points off them.
All right, here's my. I know we're not even in Canada yet with the Formula One calendar,
But
but
going to Canada.
well, I'm not going to Canada. Formula One
Oh,
goes to Canada.
So excited.
But the calendar is not in Canada yet. But the
They have
silly
calendars.
season.
No.
Silly season.
Every time Lee opens his mouth today.
I'm going to start it now. Massa retires. Williams can't find anyone to replace him and don't want Lance Stroll to lead the team, but kind of feel forced that he's got to stay in. So they get Bottas back after an unsuccessful-ish kind of year at Mercedes. They get Bottas back for a super cheap price.
Not a bad call.
Kimi Raikkonen retires at Ferrari after Vettel wins the championship. And that leaves free seat at Mercedes and a free seat at Ferrari. Verstappen goes to one, Ricciardo goes to the other.
Oh, I fancy that.
I think that's what will happen. Verstappen will end up at Mercedes, or Ricciardo will end up at Mercedes, and the other way around, the other driver will end up in the other seat at Ferrari.
I think I've got a wide on.
And Sainz goes to Red Bull and leads the Red Bull team, but who does he bring with him? There's nobody in the Red Bull youth program to come through.
They're gonna have to do something with Gasly next year, so that means that Gasly will end up in a Toro Rosso.
Then
If
not
not
Sainz
Sainz
moves
and
up.
Kvyat as a Red Bull team.
I don't think they'll take
Well-
Kvyat to Red Bull.
Why would both Verstappen and Ricciardo go from Red Bull?
Frustration.
There's a news item we've got that Danny Ricciardo has said, I need to win a title and I can't always think that Red Bull will give me that.
I think it would be an Alonso-ish move to assume that Red Bull aren't going to win in the next few years.
It might be an Alonso-ish move to stay there.
It might be.
We've got 2 more years after this of engine uncertainty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alonso has a lot of Alonso-isms. None of them are good. None of them are positive.
Apart from the being one of the best drivers in the world ever.
Yeah,
But that's quite a positive.
No, that's that. Yeah, but that's not. I wouldn't call that an Alonso-ism.
But as you rightfully said, Red Bull have 2 of the most sought after drivers in Formula One. Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo. If a seat opens up at Mercedes and Ferrari, respectively, I fully expect Ferrari and Mercedes to be fighting over one or both of those Red Bull drivers.
I'd up that classification as well. Is they've not only got 2 of the most sought after drivers, they've got the 2 most sought after young drivers.
Yeah, and
Probably the most marketable on the grid as well.
Probably,
yeah.
yeah.
And the only way I can see it not happening is if Mercedes would plump for Esteban Ocon, who, let's be honest, is doing a pretty solid job at Force
Yeah.
India at the moment.
I think Alonso will go back to Ferrari next year, and Vettel will go to Mercedes.
Do you think?
Well, I think we can now completely discount the Alonso to Renault.
Yeah, well, they
Because Renault turned around and said, we cannot provide a race-winning car next year.
Yeah, so he'll have just put a big line through that. And I think it's... I can't see him going to Mercedes, which is a shame, because I think it'd be really good. But I think it's either Ferrari or Indy. He's not staying in McLaren. He can't give...
No,
McLaren
I don't think so
nothing
either.
Do you know what? I think Alonso will stay at McLaren because they will let him do Le Mans
Indy.
and Indy in the same year, and maybe more than one Indy race. Maybe give him like Road America or something as well.
That's grand, but you're willing to accept then that Alonso is quite happy to put himself through another year of fucking depression just to do 2 Indy races or 1 Indy race.
Maybe he's just got to the point now where it's like, sod this. This is the day job. It's paying for the fun stuff, and the fun stuff is winning the Indy 500 and winning Le
No,
Mans.
because I genuinely don't. That the way he drove at Indy and the fact that he went there to win in Indy, he wants to win. He's not just.
He said himself
He's not there to make.
he's
numbers
not
up.
he's not going to win 8 world championships anymore, and that's what it'd take to be legendary.
Yeah.
So the only thing left is the Triple Crown.
Mm-hmm.
So he is going to do whatever move lets him do the Triple Crown.
Yeah,
I still think he would sacrifice that Triple Crown to leave as a 3-time world champion. He wants another Formula One world championship. He wants that more than the other things. And the other thing to think is, look at the age that people do continue to be successful in Indy and LMP1.
And LMP, yeah.
He's got time still. He's probably got the best part of a decade to try and chase that dream. He's probably got the best part of 6 years after he retires from Formula One. Look at Alan McNish, how long he went in LMP1 for. He's showing no signs of his form coming down. You know, it's usually when drivers get older, they start to dip in form. He's showing no signs of being any the less of a driver than he ever has been. And I don't think he wants to leave Formula One. I think he wants another world championship. But if he can't get a silver car or a red car, he won't be on the grid next year. Why do it if he's just gonna go in Formula One, so he can drive the Indy? Why not to go to one of the top IndyCar teams, drive the whole season and do Indy?
Yeah.
With a chance of winning a championship. And because let's face it, if he next year joins an IndyCar team, he will win races.
Yeah.
Let's not say an IndyCar team. If he joins Andretti,
I don't know. He could join Penske as well. I mean, any of those teams up and down the grid would want him.
I think it would be Andretti that take him.
We're only saying that because there's a previous history. I think what would happen is, I think you're right, because if he does a year in IndyCar, he will drive a McLaren Andretti, and McLaren will enter IndyCar for the whole season. But given the showing he did at the Indy 500, no team would turn Alonso down.
No, probably not. Where are we next on the list?
Haas.
Now we got out of the way. Haas, double points.
They're first.
Yeah.
New livery is bringing good luck to them.
Yes.
Maybe the red was heavy.
Maybe it was. I tell you what, we've
Hey,
seen heavy paint before.
Happened before
Yeah.
with Jaguar.
Yep.
And Jordan.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, the mustard yellow things.
Yeah.
Before
No,
they got
her
the,
boobs are actually that big. That's not paint.
Yeah.
niche joke.
But yeah, Haas
Fetish joke.
double points finish, and let's be honest, Magnussen wouldn't have gotten points if it wasn't for some retirements. But you've got to finish.
To finish first you've got to finish.
Yes.
Or be
Well-
finish.
Although in practices, Magnussen was running pretty quick.
He was, yeah, and Grosjean was having awful problems spinning around the car and qualifying and driving the wrong way.
A lot of backwards action for Grosjean.
I
this
was
weekend.
convinced that Grosjean was going to get a horrific penalty for driving backwards around the circuit in qualifying, just to spin his car around. But his argument is, I had to do it for safety grounds. Yeah, actually, if I didn't put my car there, someone was going to hit me. That's actually very difficult to argue with. So well done, Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, I heard a lot less of Grosjean on team radio than I thought it was going to, because I just thought it was going to be once a lap, brakes are shit, brakes are shit, brakes are shit.
He did lock up a few times.
Yeah, but we didn't hear him whinging as much. Maybe FOM's
Maybe he should go to
radio
IndyCar.
crew.
No braking.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe FOM's radio crew just got bored of that and just hit the mute button on his channel or something.
Maybe.
But it was a decent performance, especially at a circuit where braking is so important.
It shows the car's quite good as well.
It's okay. Yeah.
But yeah, on a circuit where the braking is so important, and I'm sick of talking about Haas brake issues because it's like Honda engine issues. They will turn up at some point.
Definitely has brake issues.
He does.
Oh,
That was quite good. We've had a few
was.
Haas puns.
Yeah.
It was nice to get an original one in.
yeah, that was actually good and new, like their brakes for half a lap. But yeah, they done good.
Yeah, they gone done good. Yeah. I like Haas as a team, and I want to see them do well.
Well, it's just, as we keep saying, it's good to see a team come in, build a competitive car, one that can challenge for points, and do it. Okay, all the help they've had off Ferrari, but hey, if the help's available, bloody take it.
I'll be honest though, I was surprised how well Magnussen did all weekend.
Yeah, he was,
I don't
as Dan
expect
said,
it
he
from
was
us.
quick through practice sessions. So,
Yeah.
you know,
He did look into the points, but
Maybe he's turning the corner, but yeah.
Or
We'll-
maybe he's just good at Monaco.
Yeah, we won't.
let's not give him the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly.
He's probably shit everywhere else.
Well,
Let's not
we've got to
rag-
wait and see. You can't say after one race, oh, he's suddenly turned a corner.
No,
Let's
it's
not rag on the Scandinavian drivers when one of them has done all right.
Yeah, but you know he's really shit.
We'll see.
You know, deep down, there's no points next week.
Come
is there?
on, K-Mag, prove it in Canada. One way or the other.
Bring home the bacon.
No, prove us wrong. I want to see drivers doing well.
Yes,
Prove
yeah,
us wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
And you, Ericsson.
Yeah, and you, Marcus.
And Lance.
No.
I want to see.
Careful now.
Want to see a Lance Stroll, Marcus Ericsson,
Kevin
Kevin
Magnussen.
Magnussen podium.
What's Marcus
Because they've wiped everybody else out between them.
No. Out of their sheer talent, when things just come together for them in Canada.
Yeah. Do you know what? I will give Marcus Ericsson the benefit of the doubt. I think he wastes a seat most of the time. Maybe he just likes hanging around with professional racing drivers.
Maybe. I'm in the club too. Sorry.
Is this the same club that Lance Stroll's bought his way into?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so who's after
Who's
Haas?
after that? It is Mercedes.
Mercedes.
Yes.
Their long wheelbase car we thought might struggle in Monaco and
It struggled in Monaco.
It struggled in Monaco. There was an issue with Hamilton's car that they weren't allowed to change from qualifying to the race under Parc Fermé conditions. They knew what it was, but they weren't allowed to touch it.
But even through practice, he wasn't as quick as Bottas.
He was quick in
he
first
was
practice.
quickest in FP1.
Quickest in FP1 and then 8th and then he qualified 7th or something or 14th I think it was, wasn't he qualified?
But he actually said they changed setup, didn't they, between FP1 and FP2, and they went the wrong way with setup.
Yeah.
Which you would think that
That come FP3, they'd go,
let's
Control
go
Z that.
number one, not
Yeah.
number two. It's becoming more apparent to me that the more pressure that gets put on Mercedes is the more mistakes they're making. And as Ferrari look stronger, they're not used to it. They're used to having an inter-team battle.
Yeah.
And now they've got Ferrari breathing down the neck. They really need to get this together.
They know how to dominate,
Yeah.
and they're not dominating anymore.
I also think the longer they go without making a solid choice of driver, which they're going for the championship, is going to harm them more and more.
Under normal circumstances, you'd say you can't make that call at Monaco, but more of that later.
Yeah.
Lewis would have made it into FP3 if it hadn't have been for Stoffel, because he was on course to get into the top 10.
Yeah.
I still think they should have 1998 Ferrari'd it and used Bottas to do whatever they could do to get Hamilton further up the grid.
Yeah. I know what you mean. But
Irvine had done that before for Schumacher, didn't he? Maybe not at Monaco, but in other races, he has held the entire grid up.
But that was when it was a definite driver 1 and driver A.
No, that's right. But I think that's what's going on in Ferrari. Even if it hasn't even if they haven't meant to, we'll get.
Even if they haven't told the
Get
drivers.
to that.
Yeah.
But Lewis was unhappy with the car all weekend. I think I heard him say this car's not right at least 5 times on Thursday and another half dozen more on Saturday.
Incidentally, as well, though, when he was in clear air, quicker than Bottas with a car that he was constantly complaining about.
When he was in clear air, he was the second fastest man on the circuit, I think he was.
Which, again, is that Mercedes good at following? We don't think so.
No.
Also, they've got the issue where the tyres on the Mercedes have a razor-thin margin for temperature, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're either working properly or they're too hot.
I'd like to point out that this was one of the Achilles heels of the Ferrari when James Allison was there during the team as well. Was having a car which was quick but difficult to set up.
So it might work well having Allison at Mercedes now, because he'd be like, well, hang on a second, I got the problem at Ferrari, I know how to fix it. But
No, I mean maybe he's the problem.
he wouldn't have had any input on that Mercedes.
I don't know.
He only joined in February.
Yeah, there might be little advancements that he's made on it. So
Yeah.
I'm possibly with you on this
And
one.
and do you know what? I don't believe any of that stuff. You know, the garden and leave things. And if somebody's going to a team, I do not believe for a second that even if they can't go to the factory, that people aren't going to hotel rooms with data sticks and going,
You can
this is what we're doing.
You can send info from your Gmail address before you've got your official company address. Say.
If there's let's face it, if McLaren can end up with a book about Ferrari, then I'm pretty sure that a future Mercedes employee can get a book about Mercedes.
Yeah, but McLaren getting the book about Ferrari, you don't take it into your local copy shop to get it
Don't
printed.
tell Alonso. That's what you'd never do. You never tell Alonso.
Because if you do, he'll just breeze away and everything will leave him alone.
Yeah.
But somehow someone will get in trouble for it.
Yeah, Fernando's coming back to the McLaren head office with the blueprints of 32 other Indy cars next week.
I've got the details on how the chassis are made.
Where did you get them from? I found this USB on the side of the track.
They look a lot like ours, though.
I was going to take the one about the engines, but I decided not to bother.
Yeah, I think Mercedes are at the point now where they need to number 2 Bottas officially.
Yeah.
If they're going to push Hamilton for the title.
Which,
That's their decision to make.
yeah. I think Bottas's contract at Mercedes next year depends on how well he reacts to being number 2'd. He was always brought in as a number 2 driver anyway. We know this.
I don't think they can do that and I don't think they can have, this is their issue, I don't think they can have a proper number 2 driver at Mercedes next year because I still think there's a good chance that Hamilton will retire next year.
At the end of next
Yeah,
year.
at the end of next year.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
When his contract's up. I think he's got more stuff that he's interested in outside of Formula One, and you do always get this feeling from Hamilton that any day he could just go, do you know what? Fuck all y'all.
Yeah. See you later.
And he probably
Bye.
used those words.
Yeah, fuck all of y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not think, though, that he'd be chasing records as well?
I think he's pretty much said I'll never ever match Schumacher's 91 wins. He's already second on pole positions, but he's almost.
He's at 44 wins at the moment, isn't he?
No, he's on like 50 something. I think
Yeah.
50 something wins. He's ahead of Prost, and Prost had 51.
I still think Vettel beat Schumacher's world title record.
But Vettel's only a year younger than Lewis, or was he a year younger or a year older? Can't remember.
Yeah, don't forget though,
younger, I
Schumacher
think.
won all his championships when he was older than Vettel.
Yeah.
So all it takes is to land that team where everything clicks, and he has another dominant spell like with Red Bull, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's got 8 world championships.
Yeah.
And how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah.
Another thing about Lewis, he was out of breath again. Has he? I've not seen it anywhere, but has he been the drinks bottle again for Monaco? Because he sounded absolutely knackered for the second race on the trot.
I didn't notice that.
He did. There was just one bit I think where he sounded a little bit out of breath.
I think it's just the way he's talking over the radio. In the same way as when Danny Ricciardo talks over the radio, it sounds like he's got a lisp. Yeah, I don't. Like. There's no one on that.
Danny Rick sounds like that because he takes his false teeth out before the race.
Otherwise, when he smiles,
Yeah. Well, there's
He's got 2 sets: his talking teeth and his smiling teeth.
Yeah.
nobody on that grid is unfit.
Oh no.
Yeah, and there's
Yeah, but there's a difference between being fit enough to race in these new cars
yeah.
and being fit and
Yeah.
being unfit. Lewis is not unfit.
But
But
the thing
it
was,
does sound like he's not up there with the other drivers.
he sounded like that once halfway through a race, but yeah, he was.
But he did drop the drinks bottle in Spain to keep the weight down, and he did sound knackered through that race. I'm just wondering if he's done it again.
I wouldn't have thought so because I wouldn't have thought weight matters that much in
no,
Monaco.
shouldn't do, should it?
Unless the car is right on
I
the...
would have been surprised. I'm surprised that it's legal to drop the drinks bottle.
Well,
It's probably something they haven't thought of banning because no idiot would do it.
Yeah, just because...
Where did you read that?
Autosport.
I wonder about that. I wonder whether that's right.
Um,
Autosport or not, because that just seems, especially Spain's a hot race as well.
Lewis actually admitted it himself in an interview.
Oh, even then, it's
He hasn't had a drinks bottle in the car all year.
that's weird.
That is odd, isn't it?
No, that's bullshit because he's got a tube. That's bullshit, and he's like when he's got out of the car, he's pulled the tube off.
You sure it's not the
No, because
radio?
it's the clear one. Nah, that's bullshit. I'm not having that at all.
Well, whatever he's doing, it's not necessarily working for him, is it? So,
Because even the last race, I can't remember which race it was. He said he lost like 4 kilos or something like that. I don't believe that you're losing 4 kilos of liquid and not putting something back in,
yeah.
unless
that's a
you
good
start
point.
on the race like a camel. But I'm not having that at all. No, I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying.
Lewis is lying.
Or it's been taken out of context and it's like it's a smaller drinks bottle, or they have 2 drinks bottles and he's dropped 1 drinks bottle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah.
Mercedes are trying to bring the weight of the car down so
Yeah.
they can put ballast in and get the weight in
Yeah,
the places
oh, no.
that they want.
I'm sure they are, but I don't believe a drinks bottle is one of the things they've moved.
It's 2 kilos. So
No, yeah, but it's dangerous.
yeah,
You know, it's that I don't believe that they've done it. I don't think they have done it.
I don't know.
But
I mean,
anyway,
as far
Lewis
as-
had a terrible race.
Yeah.
Maybe he's drinking out of the bottle, which is for his window wipers.
Maybe.
move on to Red Bull next.
Hang on, we haven't really spoken about Bottas.
Actually, yeah.
no.
No, not really.
He did okay, but got overcut by Danny Rick,
Yeah,
and then couldn't do anything about it.
He should have been on the podium. If Lewis would have been started where he did, Lewis would have been on the podium.
Possibly, it was the overcut that worked, and the thing is, nobody knew the overcut was going to work until it worked.
But see, the thing is, I think Lewis would have been fast enough in a Mercedes to nullify what Red Bull were doing anyway. Because he went backwards. That's the thing. From the beginning of the race, Bottas did his usual thing. I think he does a very good Massa impression like this, where he just steadily seems to have enough pace to be where he is, but he's got no pace
No
to
forward
push forward.
push.
Yeah.
So
And strategy-wise, I think they were focusing more on Lewis than on
Yeah,
Bottas.
it seemed to be.
Bottas.
Yeah,
yeah. Even though Bottas started third, you'd have thought they'd have de facto number one him for the afternoon.
so maybe they have already 1 and 2'd him.
No, I think it was more a case of, for championship points, we need to. We know we're not competing against the Ferraris today. They're down the road. We need to do what we can to get Lewis as high as we can.
So Red Bull then.
So yeah, Red Bull. Max has,
Good weekend for them.
Max has finished Monaco.
Hooray!
Well done, Max.
Finally finished. Or was it third attempt?
Third attempt and first one without the barriers.
Yeah, third attempt, and he finished the race. And he finished the race with fifth place. He was another victim, much like Bottas was, victim of the trying the undercut when it was actually the overcut that worked. With the overcut, of course, being pitting later. Danny Rick benefited from that and jumped Verstappen and Bottas. Danny Rick had a second podium in a row for Danny Rick, and it was on merit.
Yeah.
You know, well, you can't say, oh, well, this person didn't do very well and that person dropped out. So, yeah. No, Danny Rick's podium was completely on merit. And Lee called it when he said that it would be 2 Ferraris and Danny Rick on the podium. But it just didn't quite get them in the right order.
no, and unfortunately, Skybet only pay out 1, 2.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Motherfucker.
So, yeah, that updated Red Bull, which was underwhelming in Spain, is all right.
It's looking better as a chassis, definitely at Monaco.
As I say, it's 50-50, much like we won't know much about McLaren or Red Bull until we see them in Canada.
Yeah.
Because Canada is a little bit of everything, which is great. I love the Canadian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But
That and Spa, best tracks on the calendar.
exactly. But we've got Ferrari at the top of the tree.
Now, where do you go with this? Because was that playing everything into Seb's hands? Was that some incredible Schumacher-esque 3 qualifying laps from Seb to make up the gap after Kimi's stop? Was that Ferrari of number 2'd Kimi?
I think it was two things. It was an incredible.
It was Seb.
It was incredible performance by Seb.
Yep.
And Ferrari'd their strategy. They cocked up. They weren't expecting the overcut to work as well as it did, and that just worked massively well for Vettel.
Yeah.
And for his championship challenge, that's great. I don't think it's what Ferrari were intending to do, though.
I think it worked well for Ferrari because I still think that if Vettel hadn't have managed to do those laps and Kimi had have come out in front of him, I think he'd have been Fernando's faster than you'd.
Possibly, but
Not- It would have been a
Pat's-
hard man to take that away, though, wouldn't it, from Kimi Raikkonen? Because he got his first pole since
Yeah.
nine years.
Pat Simmons made a point before the race where he said that he thought if Raikkonen was in a position to win it, they would let him win it, because otherwise you got a dispirited driver who might not be as willing to play team orders when you need him to.
It would have been a difficult decision, but would it have been a more difficult decision to make Kimi fall behind Vettel than it was to take a win off a driver that nearly died and came back to race for your team?
It's not the same people at Ferrari, and I'm not saying it'd be a difficult decision.
I'm just saying.
I'm saying it would be.
Regardless of the people, which is the more difficult decision?
It's not about what's a difficult decision. It's about what helps the team more.
Yeah, but that I think that what we said it all along when Massa was Fernando'd, if they didn't do that, and then they lost the championship by 7 points at the end of the year, they would have looked foolish. And I think in the same situation, it's like Vettel is far too far ahead of Kimi without Kimi showing that he has the resolve to catch up with that gap. It would have been that one race. It would have been that one race that any Ferrari number 2 can usually win.
It would have been. It was their first win at Monaco since 2001 for Ferrari.
No, I don't mean the circuit, but
yeah.
every year Barrichello always had a win that he probably should have had, and he had to give away.
Yeah, and I was going to say then that if after the pit stops Raikkonen had been ahead of Vettel, it would have been a very, very hard-nosed man at Ferrari to get on the radio and say, "Move over, let's head through, will you?" Do you know what I mean? That would have been like, what? I qualified on pole. I'm leading the race, and you're now asking me to move over to let him through.
Coulthard had to let Hakkinen by, and Hakkinen made the mistake.
Yeah.
And he let him by because they chose whoever goes into the first corner wins the race.
Yeah.
So,
and invented the drive-through penalty at the same time.
I can't see any other way around. It would have been Arriva Bene that got on the blower. Yeah, it would have been one of those situations.
Yeah.
And it would have been the right decision. I think what this did was make, or either that, or it would have been an extra stop for Kimi.
Yeah.
You know, so there'd have been all of a sudden a mysterious slow puncture, or I don't know, need to clean your airbox out, Kimi. It's full of Seb's tears.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about it. Vettel has said that it wasn't strategized to give him the win.
Do you know what I loved? The interview with Seb when he was asked about this. And it was honestly like, Seb was stood there going, what, team orders? This happens in Formula One in some teams. I've never heard such a like.
He was playing the fool a little bit, wasn't he? But
He just stopped short of the, well, I'm happy.
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Vettel has said it wasn't the team strategizing the win for him. Lewis has claimed he's sure it was.
Yeah.
Toto doesn't think it was.
Well, Toto doesn't want to admit that it was, because if Toto admits it was a team strategy, that makes his job more difficult.
Yeah, because then Toto's got to go. Because then he's got two drivers go. Well, which one of us are you going to number one then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one's going to be the Finn in this team? Oh, hang on.
Because for him to turn around and say Ferrari have a number 1 and 2 drivers, the him to turn around and say that and say, but we haven't, is almost like him going, I'm perfectly happy to gamble this championship.
Yeah.
Surely, if he thought they number 2's Raikkonen, then that makes the decision easier. Because if they say Ferrari have gone for the 1 and 2, we need to do that. I'm sorry, Bottas.
I wonder how do you think the personal relationship between Bottas and Wolff might be getting in the way?
No.
No, got Toto
sure?
step down. He's
No,
not,
yeah,
not on
that's,
his management
that's
team
grand,
anymore.
but they're still very good friends, and he's still been instrumental in his entire career.
To date, yeah.
Yeah, in the same way as Ron Dennis has probably still got a big soft spot for
Lewis.
So you can't.
Soft?
It is at his age. Doesn't get hard, it just gets aggravated.
Chafed.
It's happening! It's happening! It's not.
Let you take the red pill.
I'll be honest, I thought you were going somewhere completely different with that. I was thinking of his heart of stone having a soft spot.
No, only
No.
to the gutter.
Always. To the
I was just throwing it out and leaving it open for whoever went first. Unfortunately, for taste and
Unfortunately.
decency.
I don't want to go first. I don't want you throwing anything out.
I mean, it's more obvious that Ferrari are going to number 1 Vettel if there is number 1ing and number 2ing to be done. You say, he's that far ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's the future of Ferrari as well. As long as he stays around, he doesn't go to Mercedes. He is the future of Ferrari. Kimi's not the future of Ferrari. He's just the right man. For the last fucking 3 years, we thought he was going to get binned off at the end.
Yeah, I mean
of
the last 2 seasons, the 2 seasons that we've been doing this podcast, it's been who's going to be in Raikkonen's seat next season? Are we going to be?
It's Raikkonen.
Yeah, we're going to be saying this again next month.
I see. The thing with Kimi is, I think Kimi's in a strange situation at the minute where I think he just really enjoys being in Formula One. I think whatever demons he had with Formula One have disappeared a little bit. He's either an easier person to work with, or Ferrari have come to some sort of agreement with him, which makes their relationship easier. And
He's got more chatty with the media, hasn't he?
yeah, I think he wants to be there. And I think the thing is, I think he's willing to be number 2'd to keep his seat. And I think he's going to do everything he can. He might grumble, he might not be happy about it, but the telling thing is, he dropped back. And he didn't
drop
even,
back. He was like
didn't
12
even
seconds back, wasn't he?
try
Yeah.
to catch it with Vettel. He stayed far enough ahead to keep his second place, and he just drove the car for the team.
But you're not going to overtake at Monaco.
Nope.
So why push if you can't get the lead and
tell
you're
you
under no
what.
threat from the guy behind?
Even if he couldn't overtake him, if he was really upset about it to the point where I can't do this number 2 stuff, he'd have got as close to Vettel to prove a point. And he didn't prove the point. If anything, he diffused the argument as much as he could by not pushing Vettel. And I think that's exactly what a man that wants to stay in good spirits with the team would do.
I mean, Kimi certainly towed the team line at the end of it.
Yeah. Even in his interviews and stuff like that at the end, he said, obviously I'm not happy with being second. I'd want more, but we all know these situations.
So he thinks he was deliberately number 2'd.
Yeah. But saying that is easier than saying, nah, I just wasn't quick enough after the pit stops.
Or strategy didn't work out for me.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, what was the line? I was looking for this line. We work as a team, and if you don't believe what you've been told or how it works, it will get very complicated.
yeah.
Which, as we know, Kimi chooses his words carefully
Yeah.
and keeps them to a minimum. That is effectively saying, from that, I was doing it for the team.
50 points between teammates is too big of a gap when you've got 2 teams going for a championship.
Or
I
is he
think so.
saying there that he doesn't think he was number 2'd? That he was given the strategy instructions and followed them because he thought that was the best strategy, and he thinks Ferrari thought that was the best strategy. And if he thinks too much about it, then it's going to cause problems.
It's hard to Yeah.
Hard to
Any-
translate Kimmy into
I
English.
was
Yeah.
just going to say, anyone would think that the statement was a bit of a nonsense statement, not meant to have any real answer.
Yeah, the words are in a language we understand. The order is in a language we understand. The meaning, it's Kimmy.
I'll tell you what, right? Let's not forget, Kimmy is in the twilight of his career, and like, just think about the difference. I mean, like Kimmy's never going to be short of money. He's quite a successful man. I imagine he's quite a rich man.
Well, he got paid a fortune not to drive,
Yeah. So.
and then went to the Camping Truck World Series.
Yeah, but coming in towards the end of your career, which is what I think Nico Hulkenberg might be thinking as well with his Renault going to Renault. Is there anything really wrong with just going there and being a good number 2 and collecting a load of Ferrari checks? It's what Eddie Irvine did. Eddie Irvine went to Jaguar and collected checks.
And a diamond that fell off the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. I don't like to think of any racing drivers who don't do anything other than, they're on it a lot.
Barrichello did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barrichello definitely did it. There was no way when he was in Ferrari that he was going to be anything more. And don't forget as well, you're still part of that team. So if you can get yourself in the mindset like every mechanic is in that team, that when Ferrari wins, we win.
Yeah.
If you, as a driver, because I think that was Barrichello's fucking superpower. If you can get yourself in the mindset of, this is my job, so if he wins, I win because I am doing my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is absolutely fine if you're there as a designated number 2 driver.
Yeah. We can
if you've gone in
talk.
as a number 1 driver and aren't doing well enough, then that's different, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I've got a new little feature for us to do that kind of works in with what we're doing. So if you don't mind, we'll slide it in here rather than at the end by the mailbag.
A talking point.
I've heard you say that in nightclubs in years gone by.
Yeah. That usually followed by don't wake up.
But before we move on, well done to Vettel for winning.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So the talking point is something I want us to do every week, where it doesn't necessarily need to be something that surrounds the Grand Prix weekend. It's obviously going to be Formula One. It's a Formula One podcast. But
Apart from the
yeah,
IndyCar
but
and wrestling bits.
be it the political side of Formula One, be it a rule, be it something that gripes us. What I want you to talk about, or all of us to talk about, but I want your opinion on it, is Formula One, as it expands, which is what we're hoping Liberty Media is going to do, has Formula One outgrown or is going to be hindered by the Constructors' Championship?
It's good. That's quite a good talk about. Is it been hindered by the Constructors' Championship?
Because this is what team orders are about. If there was no Constructors' Championship and it was simply
drivers only.
yeah, but don't forget it's not just drivers only because they're still building the car. So the World Championship is the driver and the team that win it.
Yeah.
So that is a Constructors' Championship. If your driver wins the World Championship, he has won it in your car, so your car has all the laudits that come with winning the World Championship. Take the Constructors' Championship out of it, like MotoGP, like IndyCar, then or you have two cars then.
IndyCar still have kind of
Does
a
it have a
constructors
Has a
champ-
team championship, doesn't
has
it?
a constructors championship between engine manufacturers.
Yeah,
and
engine
there's only two of them
manufacturers, yeah.
because everyone uses the same chassis.
Yeah, but essentially you're not going to get team orders to try and benefit an engine manufacturer, are you?
No.
So yeah, this is what I mean. What it does is, don't get me wrong, you would still get to a point where you would have team orders because there would be somebody that was massively more ahead in the championship than.
So
the
are you
team.
saying amalgamate the points then, team and constructors to
What-
one championship?
No, because your two drivers could go for a championship. But what I mean is, and in the situation with Kimi and Vettel, that there would be less of a reason to number two a driver with like a 30 or 40, 50 point
So
deficit.
what you're saying is make it so that the situation in Japan in 1999 couldn't happen again, where Eddie Irvine's car was all of a sudden slower than it had ever been.
Yes.
Where if he won, he'd have
Yeah,
won the Drivers'
'cause it
Championship.
makes-
They didn't want that, but they could do just enough to win the Constructors.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I think Ferrari learned, didn't they, quite a lot from that 99 season. They threw everything behind Michael Schumacher. Eddie Irvine was number 2, and then Schumacher broke his leg at the British Grand Prix. Lee, you were there.
Yeah.
And you were right in front of Schumacher, weren't you, when he broke his leg?
Yeah.
And then Michael Schumacher couldn't race for, did he miss 6 races? Something
Yeah.
like that. So Ferrari had no choice. They had to number 1 Eddie Irvine. They number 1 Eddie Irvine, I think he won like 3 out of the next 6 races, something like that. And McLaren sort of were like, well, we don't know how to deal with this. We don't know how to deal with Ferrari when they number 1 a driver who's not supposed to be number 1.
Yeah.
Irvine could have won the championship.
Ferrari stopped it.
Ferrari stopped it.
Schumacher
Completely.
comes back, and all of a sudden the car's not quite as good for winning races, but will get solid constructors points.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Ferrari still to this day rue the fact that Schumacher got injured. And they didn't give their number 2 driver enough of a push at any point earlier on in the season to be able to.
I don't think they learned anything from it because then Barrichello went in and they number 2'd him more than anybody has been number 2'd in the history of number
because
twos.
I think Eddie Irvine was stopped from winning that championship by Ferrari because they didn't want the first world champion in a Ferrari of the new Dream Team Brawn and Burn era
to be Eddie Irvine.
to be Eddie Irvine because everything in that team was built around Schumacher.
Yeah, they felt it was a waste and it would have
Yeah.
it would have disturbed things. But back to my question, would Formula 1 be better without a constructors championship?
It's it's hard to say, but you'd still end up with the team orders because
But there'd be less of it. There'd be less of a.
But it'd be for
reason to-
drivers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but it would be less of a reason to put it in so fast, because if
Why would it?
You'd-
If,
you'd
if
get-
there's only the Drivers' Championship to go for,
yeah,
then aren't you going to try and get one of your drivers to win that championship using any means necessary?
I think what the reason that it'd be better keeping them both going for the championship together is because what you were saying before about keeping somebody's spirits up. Yeah, if they're both trying to finish first and second, or they're trying to beat each other, then there's no point in having 1 6th. You know, just picking points up isn't good enough. They both have to be trying to win. Whereas
yeah, but would they be trying to win? Would it be
Whereas you can
they
win.
are making a driver come first and a driver
Yeah.
come second? They would still decide. They would still decide which one was going to be the world
you
champion
could
and which one
only
was going to
do
be the
that-
wingman.
You could only do that if there was no other team involved, though, because if you can quite happily have somebody, you can have a driver win a load of races and the second driver finish 4th and 5th and still win still win a constructors championship. But all of a sudden, that driver, if you're not putting your focus behind 2 drivers equally, those points matter more because the other driver's going to be thrown out of contention.
But what a number 2 driver does is stop the teams that aren't your team
Yeah,
from having a chance of winning.
yeah.
So why wouldn't teams, if there was only the one championship to go for, be more inclined to number 2 a driver to hold people up? You seem to be saying that they'll have
when there's
one-
only one championship to go for, then if it's so demoralising for somebody just to help that one person.
when there's only one championship to go for, the teams will do even more to win that one championship. They won't.
yeah,
they won't make things more
I hadn't
equal.
thought about it that way.
Yeah, because case in point, you've got Schumacher and you've got Barrichello.
Mm-hmm.
We are Ferrari in 2000.
Yeah,
Or 2001. You got Schumacher and you got Barrichello. Schumacher is going to be your world champion.
Yeah.
You want Barrichello as high up the field as possible to stop other teams from
Yeah, but
getting their
that's-
drivers high in the points. But
That's not the way to fix it. The way to
but-
fix it would be to put 3-car teams.
or one
Three.
car teams.
but your second driver isn't allowed to win the race. Remember Austria.
How
That's
would-
all I can
how-
say. Remember Austria.
3-car teams is the way forward.
3-car teams then.
Well, 3-car teams. You're gonna have a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3. No one's gonna want to be a number 3, are they? Nobody wants to be a number 2 now. Imagine being a number 3. Imagine getting put in a team and saying, "Well, the best I can do here is 3rd."
Yeah.
you know, and I'm in the best car, and the best I can do is third. Pfft,
Yeah.
Wow, maybe
I'm
one of my
Carlos
team.
Sainz.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe one of my teammates will
Oh,
retire.
sorry, wrong feature.
So yeah, it's no, the Constructors' Championship's been around since I think the late 70s was the
Yeah.
first time they started putting team points together, and it's not. It's always been a part of the sport as well. I don't think you'll ever get rid of the Constructors' Championship, but as it's. Everybody wants to do the double, and it's not always the case. When Hamilton won the
Yeah,
2008 championship, for example, Ferrari were Constructors'
From
champions.
a fan's point of view, I do think it's the minority of people that are interested in.
Oh,
the-
absolutely.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. The drivers' championship is what everybody. Who you don't say which team is Formula One world
No,
champions, do you?
I bet there's
You
Formula
say,
One fans
who
out that
is-
don't know who
Yeah.
the current constructors champion is.
Exactly. You say who is
Yeah.
Formula One world champion. You don't say which team are the
Yeah.
current Formula One world.
You don't say
champions.
who's the drivers' world champion. You say who's the world champion.
Who is the world champion.
So the way to fix it then is to somehow think of a way where you split each team into two. Do you know what I mean? So it's you split each team into two, and they
You
are
could put one half in each side
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
garage.
Yeah, it'd be great. But no, you know what I mean. That means they operate as like independent teams essentially within that. The only other thing I'd say is there's no constructors in MotoGP, and there is little to no number oneing and number twoing in MotoGP.
I'm not
the
sure.
racing's a lot closer though, is it?
Yeah, I'm not
MotoGP?
sure how much you could benefit your teammate in MotoGP.
You could be 6-7 seconds down in MotoGP halfway through a race, and in Formula One terms, you know, unless you got another pit stop to make, you're unlikely to make that back.
Yeah.
Whereas in MotoGP, you be 6-7 seconds down, 3 or 4 places behind the leader, and then by the end of for the last lap, you're right there.
I'm
with
going
the
to
leader.
I'm going to use MotoGP to destroy my own point slightly here.
Go
But
for it.
Jorge Lorenzo did win a world championship because Marc Marquez fucked Valentino Rossi. So you can be strategic to help somebody else in MotoGP.
Yeah, but that was personal.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that's the only example I can really think of. So
Yeah.
you know, and I think the reason MotoGP is like that is because there is no constructors championship. So every time those bikes hit the track, those.
But look at what happened with that though. That Valentino got a penalty at start. Was it the back of the grid at the next race?
Oh yeah, but
Hey,
that's,
but
that's
the
the
team,
thing.
but the team themselves, essentially, because there's no constructors, they didn't get
Yeah.
penalised as such. It was just because it wasn't a team thing.
Yeah.
It was, for those who don't know, one rider deliberately pushed Valentino Rossi
All I'm trying to
very,
think
very
is-
wide on a corner and was riding very slowly. So
Yeah.
Rossi sort of hit out at him and accidentally kicked him off his bike.
Yeah, well, I mean, see, that's but how many times do you see that in Formula One where you have a number two helping?
Oh, Perez had his hand out the car a few times, didn't he, in Monaco?
Yeah.
What are you doing? So
But what I'm trying to say is that maybe no constructors championship would mean that both drivers had equal footing for a championship.
I think they should
I
have
think
anyway.
I think you're completely wrong there because to the teams, the constructors' championship is the more important one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The teams care more about constructors. So, in general, the teams care more about getting a 1-2
Getting a 1-2,
and
yeah.
don't give a damn which driver's number one and which one's number two.
Yeah, that's a good point. But so I'm just trying to work out how we can have less number oneing and twoing essentially without making it illegal and having code words again.
Yeah,
I don't think it can ever happen because it's proved it happens when it's not legal.
Yeah.
Do you understand that message?
Yeah.
Just make it legal, free
So-
for all.
so
You have to do it.
Joe, the only way you could fix it has got nothing to do with constructors championships. I'm an idiot. Allow individual sponsorships on cars. If you had individual sponsors on cars, then the sponsors would have a problem if their car was number two'd. Then it's a financial problem for a team to number 1 and 2 a driver.
One car teams is the only way to do it.
Yeah. Essentially, you've still got 2 cars per team there, but because the revenue sources are coming from 2 different directions, there's 2 people to fight for.
I think just accept that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. But it was just a thought that I had in the back of my head about whether the constructors thing might be holding it back slightly.
interesting, but yeah. I can see where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
On to the Indy.
Yes.
There was a lot of hype. There was a lot of promotion before it. There was a lot of interest from Formula One fans. I wouldn't say I'm a complete convert to IndyCar. I watched a few races, and I enjoyed it. It was good. I really got to grips with the tactics of it myself this time. I've been dismissive of oval racing in the past.
I haven't.
I still am.
And it was an absolutely fantastic performance by Max Chilton, who I've been very dismissive of in the past.
I go Max. Yeah.
I think
Lee's always been a
Yeah.
big fan of Chilton.
Could I say something a little bit controversial? I think it probably says a little bit more about the Indy 500 if Takuma Sato and Max Chilton are doing well.
Maybe they've just found their level.
Because you don't have to brake.
Takuma Sato was never good at braking when he was in Formula One.
Well, no, exactly.
And,
So-
and Max Chilton never had to use the brake pedal when he was in Formula One because he wasn't going fast enough, so he had to stop.
Yes.
I think there have been people saying, well, if Formula One rejects can win it, then how good can it be? But it's a different skill to race on an oval than it is to race on a Formula One track.
Yeah.
My favourite tweet of the week, speaking about things like this, was apparently Hamilton turned round and said, how difficult it can Indy be if Alonso rocks up there and qualifies fifth in his first qualifying session. Virtual Statman said, somebody needs to remind Hamilton that the first Formula One race he was in, he qualified fourth.
Yeah.
Yes, which kicked off a whole...
Oh, that opened a
I think
catering
Sean
size can of
discovered
worms.
the rabid side of the Hamilton fandom at that point.
Leave Lewis alone. No, I enjoyed it, and now I know more about sort of the tactics and the way that the race works. And all right, we'll say the geeky side of things rather than just sitting there and watching. That's not the last oval race I'm going to watch.
I'm going to watch it next week. I'm going to watch the next IndyCar race next week.
Yeah, because there's two.
I want to see an IndyCar on a circuit, not an oval.
Yeah, there's two next weekend.
Yeah.
I was amazed by the amount of driving. I know it sounds ridiculous, that the amount of driving that the drivers were doing on the oval, like the amount of the micro adjustments and the opposite lock here and there, and I especially when they come back down from the banking to actually get round the corner, I think some of the driving was stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, doing bank turns at 230 miles an hour, it's squeaky bum time.
Average speed was like I didn't see anybody drop under 215 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
I don't think it's as spectacular to watch as circuit racing, where you've
No,
got the hard braking and the hard accelerating.
And the following
'Cause
and the overtaking, the outbraking, the overtaking.
But to see a race where you get to the last few laps and you're not sure who's going to win, it could be anyone in the top 10.
Yeah,
It's a lot more like MotoGP, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd argue it was more exciting than MotoGP because I think MotoGP's got slightly processional this year. I don't think there's. I think you know the winner by fucking lap 5 in MotoGP at the minute.
Yes.
So.
But Alonso, you got to be gutted for him.
Absolutely, yeah. He was still, up until just before he went out, he was still in with a chance of winning it.
Yeah. Up to that point, any of the top 10 could have won.
Yeah.
There was still one pit stop to go for everyone. There was fuel saving. Some drivers had 2 stops.
Yeah.
And depending on whether there was another yellow flag or not. And yeah, he was in the mix. He was right up there. To say that he's never raced on an oval before, that just shows the quality of driver that he is.
And the standing ovation that he got as well when he got out in front of the main stand, because he did happen to pull over right in front of the main stand.
Yeah.
I can't believe that he went out because of an engine problem.
I can.
I know I can, but
Yeah,
Zach Brown said shocking but not surprising.
yeah.
Over the
that is really screw you, Honda.
over the last few races, the last few IndyCar races, the Honda engines are in the winning cars,
Yeah.
and they're also in the
In
first
the
cars to
mix.
retire.
Yeah.
As again today, because Sato was in an Andretti Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just have a look. 4 of the top 5 were driving Hondas.
Yeah. Well done, by the way, Takuma Sato.
Well
First
done.
Japanese champion,
Yeah.
or first Japanese winner.
Maybe this is why Honda wants Sauber in. They're like, no, IndyCar, fine. Just need more Honda. More Honda, win race.
But the
Whole field Formula Honda.
those last 12 laps after the last caution, when it effectively came down to a 12-lap sprint,
Yeah.
that was hellish. You did not know what was going to happen from one turn to the next,
Yeah.
and Sato timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
You know,
Max Chilton didn't.
he kind of dropped off the pace towards the end. One point, we did actually think it was going to finish under yellows, and Chilton was going to take it because he was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Which, just quoting Virtual Statman again, he put a tweet out towards the end saying it's the last 40 laps that are important. Everything before that is tactics and positioning.
Yeah.
And you want to be in the right place for the sprint at the end for after the final fuel stop.
Yeah.
And hell, Max Chilton and his team, Chip Ganassi Racing,
Yeah.
damn near got that right.
Yeah.
Um,
It was I must say, like, we give Chilton some stick, but because of that, when he was in that position towards the end, I really did want him to win it. No.
I mean, that's the thing. You're not going to be in with a chance of winning it if you're not at the front. He got himself at the front through. It wasn't sheer dumb luck. It was he put the car in the right place.
Well, let's face it, the Max Chilton's special move is not crashing and keeping himself out of trouble, isn't
No,
it?
apparently,
Didn't he have the most consecutive finishes for a rookie in Formula One?
Yeah,
But-
in the manner, it was like about 3 years before he had his first retirement.
No,
no, it was 3 years before he finished his first race. He was still on it. But
We're not allowed to be rude about him anymore.
no, we can be rude
Yeah,
about him as
didn't
a Formula One driver.
I think he did 22 races, or no more than that, 32 races I want to say,
Something like that.
before his first retirement in Formula One.
Yeah. And his first retirement was a mechanical failure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I'm just having a look at his stats. Yeah, it wasn't quite 32, but his first retirement was Canada in
Oh no, that's when he
2014.
hit. That's when he hit Jules Bianchi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'd done 19, 20,
20
21,
something.
22, 23, 24, 25, 26th race before he retired.
26.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was reliable but slow. He has had the reputation of being a little bit crashy in IndyCar. Certainly last season, because we were joking about it about a year ago, and I can't remember who it was sent us some info that he's there because his dad's paid for him, but he's writing cars off, and he's basically being a bit of a Maldonado, where his sponsorship is paying for all his repairs. That doesn't seem to be the case now, and he's doing all right.
Well, when we had our newfound IndyCar mate on last week, he was saying he's turning into quite a good
Oval racer.
driver, and
Yeah, I think it's like Sean said when he was on the show. You get your level.
Yeah.
And his thing is obviously IndyCar.
Yeah.
Chilton was in a manner. He wasn't going to be anywhere near the front of a race because of the car he was in when he was in
if he'd have
F1.
been in a Mercedes or a Ferrari and he was last all the time, then
Then that's a different
Yeah.
thing.
Then he would have been found out.
But like
Luca Badoa syndrome.
Yeah.
I've turned
It's
left.
a virulent disease.
I've turned left on IndyCar, and I really enjoyed it.
I'll definitely be watching more races. I've got to admit though, doing the live blog on the same day as Monaco. God, that was a long day.
Yeah.
That was a very long day. I mean, especially because the 500 was scheduled to finish if it ran as everyone predicted. It was due to finish at 8:30, which still made it a 9-hour blogging session for us, and then it finished at 9.
Yeah.
Because of that huge crash with
crash. Scott Dixon.
Dixon and Jay Howard.
Yeah. I've got to say the safety crews, the response time is
The
just
trucks were on scene a couple of seconds after the cars had stopped
There was
moving.
still bits moving You know, like wheels and
Yeah.
stuff rolling around when the crews were getting
Yeah.
the drivers out was ace.
And I'm sure everyone listening to this has seen footage of the crash now and seen what Scott Dixon's car looked like at the end. If you haven't, it was half a car.
It was a computer game crash.
It
less
was,
than half,
it was
yeah.
less than half a car. There was one wheel attached and no back end.
Yeah.
And he's hurt his ankle a
He's
little bit.
bruised his ankle, but he'll be back in Detroit next weekend.
Yeah.
And
Did
Helio
you see the
Castro.
jaw on the man though? But in the interview, like he had one of those proper like
Iron jaws.
American jaws. I'll put it. Like I think that's what did the fencing.
I mean, Helio Castroneves driving under Dixon's car while it was in midair before it bounced off the fence.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's just gone to prove that the safety cells in those cars are fantastic.
It's not all good news though now.
Oh God.
Well, because no, this means now that
Hovering by the mute
No,
button.
now that I haven't got like the hatred for Indy that I had because I watched it, yeah, right. Because I'd seen a race, now I can't hate it. That does mean that all my animosity goes towards NASCAR and the Marry Your Sister Cup, or whatever it's called.
Have you watched any NASCAR yet?
That's not the point, Dan. It's
Let's
shit.
move on. Let's do some news.
They just drive round in circles.
Last one to get bored wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not watching NASCAR for one reason and one reason only.
Hoedowns.
No, it's £15 a month to subscribe to the channel that it's on. I'm not paying for another bloody sports channel sponsorship.
Well, and that's it. If you won't pay for it, I'm clearly not going to watch it.
Exactly. And this one, you don't get a free extra online login. So
Do you not?
No, so even if I do get that channel, you're on your own, mate.
Fuck NASCAR.
Let's do some news. What have we got? Sad news. Sad news to start with, which Eric Bradley, the founder of Lola, long-time sports car and F1 designer and aborted team, sadly died today. He's had a long career in motorsport. Designed his first car in 1958.
Wow.
Worked on many Formula One cars. Worked with Graham Hill on the Graham Hill Embassy team
Yep.
after
After the Lotus.
yeah. Worked with LaRousse. He designed the LaRousse cars in the 80s, which were occasionally competitive. Occasionally.
Occasionally.
I'm not
yeah.
going to say
They
not
did
gonna say
have
they
the
were great.
worst colour scheme ever.
Yes. And IndyCar designer for 30 years because many teams running Lola chassis
Yeah.
through there. Brought a hell of a lot into Formula One.
Yeah.
Just sad to say that he's passed away today, 88 years old.
Sad to lose him.
Other news. What have you written down?
Danny Rick.
Danny Rick.
Is that we've not mentioned that yet? He's saying about his long-term goal. He has to look at championships, and he can't spend his entire career thinking that it will come from Red Bull, which lends slightly more fire to my conspiracy that he could be off to a Mercedes or Ferrari seat if one or both were to open up. I believe Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen, both drivers at Red Bull, are the most wanted drivers on the grid. Now, if he's saying he doesn't have...
Well, it's not going to be Marcus Ericsson, is it?
No. He doesn't think that... It's not to say that he doesn't think that his championship will come at Red Bull, but he can't go his whole career thinking that it might do.
But I think at the moment, it's as open as it's been in a long time.
Yeah. The only thing I'd worry about is the fact that everything in Formula One shifted a step back towards aero, and the kings of aero got it wrong. They've got a good car,
Yeah.
but they haven't got an Adrian Newey car.
But it'd be interesting to see if that power unit does come up to scratch, if they are much better under the speeds that...
Yeah.
I know it's minimal, but the speeds that Ferrari and Mercedes are doing out front, the times that they're getting, if the aero package of Red Bull have got, would handle those speeds with more stability.
The only thing I'd argue is that last year, with a weaker engine to Mercedes, Red Bull should have won Monaco. And
Yeah.
that's all down to chassis, more than anything else. That was down to the chassis they had. And they couldn't, they were never really in the race to win that race. So, what does that say for, that should have been the sweet spot for them. That should have been, if they were Red Bull as we know Red Bull, they should have been up there with Ferrari.
Last year it was wet, which takes
Yeah,
away
it
the
is.
engine advantage even
Qualifying
more.
wasn't wet though, was it? Qualifying was dry and he got pole.
I don't remember. It was
Yeah.
dry over here. It was beautiful, but
But
Danny Rick got pole last year.
yeah.
Would have won, but for a freak cock up.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I would understand both drivers. I'd understand Danny Rick probably more than
Verstappen.
What is wrong with me remembering drivers' names today?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know.
He can't remember. He did know earlier.
Yeah, but it must be. Remember when I said I hit myself in the head and then I could understand the American commentary to you yesterday? This must be why.
hit yourself on the other side. It'll be fine.
No, not right now, just in case it makes it worse. But yeah, I can understand Danny Rick moving because he's got less years.
And also, he's got to be worried about being webbed.
Yeah. But how old Danny Rick now? 28.
About that.
So yeah, he's got Verstappen, Sainz, and all right, okay, Kvyat, not so much, but two other drivers who could quite readily either take his place or very easily come through and surpass him. And he definitely doesn't want that. He doesn't want to be Jean-Eric Verne at the Red Bull team.
No. I don't, and this doesn't mean for 1 second that I don't think. Fuck me, this is really annoying now. That Verstappen, I'm not saying he can't win a championship, but it does seem that from his rise, that it does seem to have plateaued out between those two now. On level, what they're at. I don't think. I wouldn't.
One's not overbearing on the other.
And when you think of the steep rise that Verstappen has,
Yeah.
maybe this is. He's not all of a sudden gonna be the driver that jumps into the same car as his teammate and is 2 seconds down the road. It doesn't look like that at the minute.
No, not at the moment. But because of his years and his, he's 3 years into Formula One now.
Yeah.
And he's still 20, 19?
Oh, he's
20?
got a massive career ahead of him.
Yeah. That's
Massive.
the in 10 years' time he'll be 30.
Yeah.
Like.
Disgusting.
So the experience he's going to gain as a youngster should hold him well. in the
Yeah.
future.
Oh no, he's going to be.
Whereas
he's going
Danny
to be a
Rick
race winner, and he's going to win world championships, and he's going to be a top contender.
Yeah, whereas
in
Danny Rick
Formula
is
One.
27, 28 now. He's
Yeah.
thinking, hang on a second.
He needs to be there.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah.
He's closer to Lewis Hamilton's age than he is his teammates.
Yeah.
So
Is that it? We've got anything else on the news?
That's it for the news. 'Cause
There's
I mean,
not much else.
Everything has sort of been based around the run up to Monaco and the run up to Indy, and we've covered both of those.
Yeah.
Pretty much the same with the mailbag because everyone that sent things in, the general consensus is everyone is gutted for Alonso.
Yes.
Everyone is also gutted for Button.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the 15th-place grid drop. Bradley Chambers says, can I just say, how the hell did Vettel get driver of the day? No one deserved it apart from maybe Sainz.
Vettel won the race.
Yeah, Vettel won the race.
Did everything right.
Driver of the
Hamilton
day.
made up 6 places at Monaco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Driver of the day is a hard one to give at Monaco because just the lack of opportunities to overtake and do something.
I think we should give a prize to all the finishers.
Perez made 2 overtakes.
Yeah.
Kimmy and Bottas.
One of them was legal.
Yeah.
I said all the finishers, not all the fins.
Driver of the day, anyone apart from Ericsson and Stroll.
Yeah.
Anyone who makes it to the end of Monaco, really,
Yeah.
driver of the day.
Although to be honest, you can have a good driver and not make it to the end of Monaco because somebody else screws your race
Yeah.
up, like what happened to Kvyat
Yeah.
Or Verline.
or Verline. Are we allowed to say that? He's retired now? Yeah. Are we going to see him back?
I hope so. I think so. One more race, I think.
I don't think it'll be this year. I think the only way we'll see him back is if it's next year.
Well, yeah, he's got an instant place grid penalty this year, so it'll be next year. Then he can start from where he's meant to. Yeah. I wonder if they'll put him in at Australia, and then that way he's got fresh engines, doesn't get a grid penalty. Sorry, Jensen. Car's working. One last go.
Yeah, knowing Formula One's ridiculous rules, his fucking penalty will probably stay with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like I'm going to do a band reference. This is like Aerosmith's farewell tour that's been going on for the last 3 years. He's just gonna keep adding more dates to it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what goes on.
So total shunt time.
There's no guitar in the room.
No, there's not.
Do I have to pause and we do a jump cut while you get the guitar? Or?
No,
I don't know where it is.
Just.
It's your house.
I know. I really don't know where it is. Let's move
Bom 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 bom. Who's the total shunt this week?
I prefer that.
Shuntapella. Is this a bit where I've got to close my laptop?
Yep.
Okay.
It's total shunt time.
You can't use YouTube to cheat this year.
And
this week.
And here's your host, Lee Stewart.
Yeah, we're not streaming this week. We've decided, by the way, that we're going to cut back a bit on the streaming. We are going to do the odd one every now and then.
It's just the YouTubing was just sort of, it was kind of overbearing a little bit on the actual podcast.
Yeah.
So we'll still do it. We might even do like separate segments.
That's what I think would be better.
Yeah.
But we will be there on YouTube in some shape or form. We'll have TT videos. And
We'll
TT
have
stuff to
a
put up.
presence.
Dan will still be on chat roulette.
Let's go total shunting.
The worrying thing is that's nowhere near the worst thing you've ever said about him.
No.
Come on, Lee. Let's go. Clue number 1.
I was born.
I'm not doing it this week.
Oh, fuck it. In 1949.
1949.
So that would be
68.
68.
68?
68 this year.
Yeah, it's 2017.
Yes.
21 years older than me, and I'm 47.
Yeah.
I do hope I've never done this.
But
one
my
before.
IQ isn't.
I'm starting to think maybe I have. In fact, I think I have.
Never mind. Carry on.
No, I bought.
Oh, you. Are we getting Total Shunt's greatest hits?
I usually delete them, and I hadn't
Were
deleted.
you starting to give us last week's one there, Lee?
No.
No, it was one from a while ago.
Yeah,
wasn't
we've
it?
done-
Was there a car crash involved?
Yeah, in South Africa.
Oh, yeah, we've done
Yeah.
that one.
Sorry about that. I was a world championship winning driver.
Is that new clue number 1?
Yes, this is new clue number 1, and this is going to be new to me as well because I've just picked one that's come in, and I can't see who it is.
Right, okay. So I was a world championship winning driver. Now, knowing this game, there have been how many Formula One world champions?
Many.
But
But
does
does
specify Formula One world championship
No, it doesn't.
winning?
But I'm just literally just using that as a literal example.
It could be a driver who won the World Tiddlywinks Championship.
Could well be.
Are you Johnny Chicota?
Next clue.
I was a teammate to Sir Sterling Moss.
Sterling. Tony Brooks
Didn't win a World
didn't win a world
Drivers'
championship.
Championship
As far
in
as I
Formula
know.
One. Don't know his Tiddlywinks prowess.
No, I think he's actually the only.
You know when you play Tiddlywinks, it actually starts with a squidge off. I learnt that in a pub quiz the other week. the first move in Tiddlywinks is called the squidge off.
Fair enough.
It sounds like a Russian driver as well.
Sounds like a euphemism is what it sounds like.
Squidge off is in the pits.
Oh no! But the
Sometimes a girl just got to go out and get her squidge off.
so who would have been a teammate to Sir Sterling Moss? And yeah, Tony Brooks is the only one I can think of.
Yeah, I've got nothing at the moment.
Okay. So the third clue, and we have to give an answer after this one.
Which, if we're still stuck, it's going to be Tony Brooks.
Yeah.
I raced for 8 Formula One teams.
Which would lead me back to Tony Brooks again,
Yeah.
because he raced for pretty much everyone.
I think
8 Formula One teams. Back in those days, people did race an awful lot, didn't they?
you would get drivers racing for eight teams in the course of a season.
Yeah.
It was, what car have you got? Oh, I'll drive for you this week.
Yeah.
We'll have a guess. Then we'll go with, are you Tony Brooks?
No.
No, this is not Tony Brooks.
I was born in the 1950s.
Wow, so it would have been quite young then. And been, hang on, a teammate of Sir Sterling Moss.
Don't forget, Sterling Moss drove until had an active career until he was about 75.
Something like that.
Yeah, didn't he ended up in like saloon car racing, which is what touring cars came from.
I think it was
and-
like 2009 or something, wasn't
He
it? that
retired.
actually retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So we've narrowed it down.
we're looking
we
for someone who
haven't.
started their career in the 70s, aren't we?
Pretty much, yeah. And I'm guessing was a world championship driver, but not in F1.
Well, might have made it to F1, but passed
Made it to
Sterling
F1
Moss
and
on the ladder on the way up.
yeah.
Go on, next clue.
Next clue is I scored points on my Formula One debut, but was later disqualified on technical grounds.
Right. So you're looking for somebody who would have been disqualified for a team disqualification. Who was Hunt's teammate at McLaren in '76?
I can't remember. Probably because I've only had about 8 hours sleep in the last 3 days. But more beers than that. Zero alcohol at the wheel. Because you'll spill.
Exactly. Yeah, don't spill your drink.
No.
70s technical infringements. Who was it? Brabham who had the car with the fan underneath it.
Yeah. Tyrrell were always pushing for being the Ferrari of the day by pushing
the
the rule
envelope.
book. Yeah.
Go on, we'll go for another one. Then we have to give another guess after this next clue, don't we?
Yeah. I have competed in the Le Mans 24 Hours 8 times, with my best result being victory.
Oh, victory!
Victory.
Yes. I'm not Nico Hulkenberg.
Damn.
A Formula One driver who's won Le Mans.
You're gonna absolutely kick yourself now because I can see it. You're gonna fucking kick yourselves.
So the only one
This is ace.
Graham Hill, I can think of.
Graham Hill wasn't born
Born in the
50s.
Unless it was James Hunt. James Hunt did start his Formula One career in the 70s.
Teams that James Hunt drove for in F1.
Hesketh,
McLaren, and Wolf.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's
18,
not
was it?
No.
No. Good point. How many team... hang on, started his Formula One career in the 70s.
We're gonna have to go for a guess here, aren't we?
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, sorry. This
Yeah,
is a 6th question guess, isn't it? I think?
Yeah, 7th.
Oh, 7th question guess. Do we not have a guess last question?
I think he's lost count.
Oh, right, okay.
Also
We need to give a second guess though, don't we?
You need a second guess now and then another guess at 10.
Yeah.
Jody Scheckter. He would have started early 70s, wouldn't he?
He was champion in 79, wasn't he? Something like
Yeah.
that? 77, 78, 79, around then.
I think 79, yeah.
I'd like to hurry you.
Got nothing
Well-
better than that at the moment, but I don't know if he ever won Le Mans.
Yeah, no, are you Jody Scheckter?
I'm not Jody Scheckter. I am, however, British.
British driver.
Who's
British-
not James Hunt.
Well, we don't know. Well,
Well, James Hunt's only driven for 3 teams.
Yeah, they're supposed to drive for 8 Formula One teams.
Well, he had a test for Williams as well, but didn't go well.
When was Graham Hill born?
Well, he wasn't 18. He wasn't 12 when he became Formula One world champion in '62.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure about that.
Can you go onto Google and prove that for me? And while you're there, just look.
I think we need another clue.
What?
Martin Brundle.
8 teams. Ligier, Jordan, McLaren. Getting stuck now.
Yeah. Benetton.
Yep. Probably drove a race in a. He stood in for everyone. That was his thing, wasn't
He
it?
drove for Williams at a race.
He did, yes.
Martin Brundle.
When
He's won Le Mans as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure he has.
Yeah, didn't he? Didn't he have to drive? He filled in for Mansell for one race when he burnt himself on a fuel leak.
Yeah.
But he's not 68, is he?
No, this
No, he dropped the
that was-
68.
that-
He was born in the 50s. The 68 was the previous
was the
one.
incorrect.
Ah,
was
right,
the
yeah.
incorrect clue.
Sorry. Got confused
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that could be one. There.
We'll stick with Martin Brundle. Give us another clue, Lee.
I've never won a Formula One race.
Oh,
Oh.
neither has Martin
Not-
Brundle,
yeah.
has he? We'll go for clue number 9.
I am arguably more famous for my role as a Formula One commentator.
I will go with Martin Brundle.
I am Martin Brundle.
Yes.
Are you David Croft?
Are you Murray Walker?
Yep, drove for 8 teams, some of them for more than 2 races.
Yeah.
Thanks to Phil Cooper for that one. We had a nice chat.
Yes, thanks,
Nice one, Phil. Thank you.
We had a nice chat about new babies the other day.
Oh, is he going to be
He's just had a new baby.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Phil. And talking of new babies, you announced it on the Patreon, but you didn't say it on
Oh,
this
I
one.
didn't say yes. Yeah, I have a small human coming on the 13th of this July.
Which is British Grand
British
Prix
Grand Prix
weekend,
day.
isn't it?
Yeah, he's going to be late. He'll be late.
Sunday afternoon, you'll just sit down to watch the British Grand Prix. It's going to be the best Grand Prix in years, and you'll be like, you'll get the phone call. "No, I need you now."
Sky go, mate.
That's the only reason you bought that iPad, isn't it?
I couldn't get away with an iPad, but I'm pretty sure I could end up like just watching on my phone.
Oh, sorry, you didn't buy the iPad. The cat bought it.
Yes, that's true.
Name your child a name associated with the winner of the British Grand Prix. if he's born on that
already
day.
already got a name, haven't I?
Oh, have you?
Arthur Jensen Stevens.
Arthur. Very good. I approve.
You had to get the Jensen in there.
Absolutely, it was.
You're going to have a son and a cat called Jensen.
It was nearly Jensen as a forename for a while, but it does mean that he's going to be he's going to be
AJ Stevens.
yeah, because what I've
There
done,
is already an AJ Stevens over here. It's a butcher's.
no there's also an AJ Styles. So what I've managed to do
no!
with one name is slam
That's what I was
Formula
getting
One and pro wrestling into the naming of my child.
I'm just absolutely. Oh dear God! You're going to get a jump cut in a second because 3 people will be disappearing momentarily while we do Formula Lee. Because
Do we need to go?
I'm scared.
That's the one.
I'm scared, but I
going to
don't want to disappear.
Don't let go!
because I'm going to have to break time because we're recording this early.
There's no cameras. We didn't actually need to touch each other.
No, but you felt the need to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
Yeah, because we're recording this early. When we're recording this, there's still 15 minutes to go in the Formula Lee contest that I'm just about to announce the winners of.
Whoa. We're breaking time again.
So this week's Formula Lee is here. And by the miracle of jump cut, here are the Formula Lee results. 10th place was Vajcha Camping. God, I hope I've got your name right. 129.287. 9th, Chris Rowden, 129.262. 8th was Chad Wilkes, 129.183. 7th, regular participant Dave Flynn, 129.144. In 6th was Freddie Brunner with a 128.776. Finn Wilson was 5th, 128.729, and Luke Nipper was 4th with 128.537. Top 3 now, and we're into the prizes. In 3rd place, getting the £2 voucher from Ultraflix is Pete Bull with a 128.508. 2nd place, winning £5, is Bradley Chambers, 128.423, and you guessed it, that means there is only one winner, and once again, Jeff Sharp, fastest time of the week, 127.882. Is somebody going to beat Jeff at some point? Things are going to change now. We're going to go back, and all of a sudden, we're all back in the room. So yeah, congratulations to the winner.
I wouldn't have seen that one coming.
No, that was absolutely incredible. Who won that?
I think I saw it coming.
They win the £10 Amazon voucher,
Thank you, and
thank you to all the competitors.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't easy.
But there's more.
Did I win?
There's more than a £10
Maybe
Amazon
I won.
voucher.
Did
Yes,
I win?
there is.
Have I won?
No.
Oh,
No, because I'm gonna make you sit here for the next 15 minutes so you can't put a time in and then really screw things up.
giving up. I'm
That's
done.
that's all right.
I'm done.
Without you putting extra time in, I can safely say, Lee, you didn't get points.
I'm fucking Kimmy. That's all.
Dan,
I'm just in it for the race.
revelation.
Dan, you didn't come last.
It's those little goals.
Because I know for a fact that the two people are below you. Comment of the week on Formula Lee from Frank Poe. Sorry, that's the best time I can do. Would like to have played more, but I got wife flagged.
Wife flag.
Wife flagged.
That also sounds like a euphemism.
And Chris wins the Three Legs, Four Wheels Formula League challenge
Yes.
between the four of us this week. As things stand, you're in the points. But, as I said, there is more than a £10 Amazon voucher from Ultraflix. There is also £5 for second place and £2 for third.
Amazing.
So thank you, David at Ultraflix for that. And bit of a change on the download codes. It's going to be the two fastest drivers each week who haven't already received one for the game, because you can only download the Pro Pack for the game once.
Yeah.
So there's no
quick note.
So
we
you
were
could
talking-
finish like 14th.
Yeah.
And still get a prize.
So it's worth it, and there's prizes all the way through the grid. Niall, thank you. Zach, thank you.
Yeah.
David, thank
absolutely.
you again
No,
for your end
yeah,
of
it's
season
grand
prizes.
What people have done.
And for what's coming up on Formula Lee,
Yeah, I think we were having a discussion about this before, and obviously I'd like your feedback as well, just so we're all in the same sort of field. But we're thinking that literally from the day the new Formula One game comes out, the next race after that will be on F1 2017.
that probably means we'll be starting in Belgium.
I'm working.
Although we started.
Belgium or Italy.
Actually, we started in Monza last year. That was the first one.
Yeah.
So why don't we start the next one from Monza? Then we've done an entire season on 16.
Yeah, well, we'll see if everyone's getting it from day one. Let me know, because I'm working under the conclusion that most people are going to go out and buy Formula One when it's out. I'm working under that. If that's not the case, let us know, and maybe we'll work something out. If it only turns out like half the people are going to do it, then fine, we'll work something else out. But if everyone's just going to run out, pre-order Formula One and do it, then everyone's going to want to use the nice shiny new Formula One game.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know I am. So, and I only do Formula Lee on it now because I don't actually like the I don't like the season.
But I'm just looking forward to Belgium because I just want to drive around Spa.
sterile.
Why are you pointing at your phone, Chris?
I just opened my phone and it's trying to tell me where it thinks I am.
Where does it think you are?
Where does it think I am, Lee? It thinks I'm at your house. How does it know?
I don't know how it knows. All I'm happy is that it doesn't say you're in
Wow.
Lee Stevens Painter and Decorator.
So we need a challenge for Canada, though.
Challenge for Canada.
Yeah.
Nighttime.
No,
Wet.
what? No! Get out. Leave. Right, you're disappearing again.
No, we're going to have a nice one. And this is going to be this is because Lewis fucking Hamilton owns Canada
Most of the time, yeah.
most of the time. So,
I thought Stroll Dad owned Canada.
yeah, but we don't like him because he made Stroll. He's 50% to blame. So we're going to have Mercedes, afternoon, dry, Canada.
Canada Dry.
So basically, like we can see how fast people are and the best thing is by using a Mercedes, let's see how far up we can get some of our players in that league table.
Well, yeah.
Because we got some fast people.
We have
Yeah.
some bloody quick drivers.
Yeah.
So get those into us, and the way that you get those to us, you can send a direct message on Facebook.
Yep.
Also, you can leave any comments you want on the Facebook page.
Yep.
We censor some of them. No, we don't, actually. We just leave everything there. You can tweet us at 3 Legs 4 Wheels. If you want to send a Formula League time in, send a direct message.
Yeah.
And you can tweet us individually on
I'm at a total shunt.
At Flood21.
At Danbert.
and at Pablo100.
Yeah.
And you can email 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Yeah. Also, send us some new at a total shunts in Not at Total Shunts. I'm a Total Shunts in. If we're going to start doing a talking point, if there's something that isn't necessarily involved around the weekend or what's happened in Formula One there, but it's Formula One related, and you want us to spend 50 minutes have a little natter about it, like when Dan destroyed my idea of getting rid of the Constructors' Championship.
I'm just waiting for how you get your revenge on Dan. I don't think it's going to involve chat roulette and a photo of him at all.
It's okay. On those things, it's only ever somebody's nuts, you see, anyway, isn't it?
I wouldn't know. I've never been on it.
I see. I'd have to get a picture of Dan, like, fully naked so you could see it's his nuts.
This is just
I'm
taken.
scared now about your Photoshop skills.
This has just turned into a very weird conversation. Let's move on.
Well, not everybody knows he's got a Tweety Pie tattooed there.
Move on.
Thanks for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed everything that went on at the weekend with Monaco and Indy. We're going to do some, as much as we can fit in, because we all try to have lives. We're going to do some Isle of Man TT stuff. There'll probably be an extra mini podcast or two.
Yeah.
Bit of Facebook Live, something on the YouTube channel. Mark Webber apparently is heading to the Isle of Man today. I am going to be wandering around the TT paddock stalking with a voice recorder.
We should go out on Senior Race Day and have a few drinks and do a few Facebook Lives as we go around doing things.
I've got a gig Senior Race Day night. I'm definitely up for that. I haven't played drunk in a long time.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm working Senior Race Day.
Dan.
But I'll join you after work.
That'll do.
Hey.
Just come down to the pub. I'm playing
Senior
as well.
Race Day, by the way, is the last Friday of race week, which is next week.
Yeah.
It's when we let the old
I'll do
people
a-
race.
yeah, I'll
You
do
have
a
to be
little
over
bit.
70.
I'll do a little bit of what the fuck is the TT at some point after doing what the fuck is the Indy 500, because the Isle of Man TT, huge event, and it happens like a mile away from where we record, if that.
Should we do Why the Fuck is NASCAR?
We can do.
Toes. All 8. On each ankle.
Oh no!
He's going to Photoshop that now. I'm going to keep my mouth shut in future. We'll be back next week. And
Preview of Canada next week, isn't it?
Preview of Canada next week.
Yep.
And whatever happens in the crazy world of Formula One, or Arthur Brown, between now and then.
Fire!
Oh, no, it can't be. The band refueling.
Exactly.
So, we'll see you next week. Cheers for listening.
Thanks for
Bye.
listening.
Bye.